Hello, and welcome to Books and Crannies.
A Book Lovers podcast.
I'm Danielle.
I'm Sarah.
Yep, those are us.
Those are we.
If you've listened at all, you already know that. But for those newbies here,
Hey, you never know.
yeah. And this episode is an entirely new book
It is.
from what we've been at recently.
I mean, it's same series,
Yeah,
but, you know.
it's along the same lines.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So today, y'all.
Sorry.
Y'all.
I'm apparently feeling frisky. That sounds weird. I'm all over the place.
Really strange.
Immediately.
It's fine. It's,
the usual?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something.
Really mean?
No. Par for the course. That's what I was gonna say.
Anyways.
Today,
Yeah.
y'all,
We're
talking about Akawar. The
Act
Court
War.
of Wings and Ruin.
Yes. Chapters 1 through 17.
Yeah.
So you gotta grab a snack.
And a drink.
And buckle up for a good time.
Yep.
Get cozy.
Get cozy.
Do your thing. We're gonna jump right in, y'all.
Let's do it.
You know we talk too long. Every time, every day.
Yeah.
In our normal life, too.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So if we have any, what am I trying to say? If we remember how Akamath left off.
Yeah.
Good old Farah pretended to have awoken from Reese's spell.
Yeah. And she went with good old Tam Tam.
Yeah, she's like, wow, I saw you and knew.
My beautiful Fey man.
Tamlin?
Yeah.
Tampon.
I mean, that's what she's
I know.
projecting
She
into
is
the world.
Putting that out into the ether. Which is disgusting.
Yeah.
But at the start of this book, she's more so playing spy.
She is. And she's doing it well.
She's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
we start first in a flashback.
From Reese.
From Reese, the
good
prologue.
old Daddy Reese.
Daddy Reese. We all know and love him.
Yep.
Lol.
At least you better.
Yeah.
If you don't love Reese, get out of here. You are not in the right place.
You can stay. It's okay.
You
Just
should
don't...
leave. You should leave.
All right, well, dang. But in any case, this prologue starts us like 3 years before the wall came up. Mm-hmm. And Reese is in the midst of battle.
Yeah, they're at war.
Yeah, and if we've read, as you should have, Reese fought in the human or mortal Fey Alliance, you know, with his legion of Illyrian warriors.
He did.
Yeah. Good on him.
I love him.
Me too. He's the best.
But I'm not going to start fangirling immediately.
Not yet. But in this flashback, he's fighting with the mortals. It's looking grim. It's looking bad for their side of things. And they have to call in Illyrian reinforcements. Reese did. Mm-hmm. And they, you know, as they're battling, Reese is thinking about Castanaz and if they might be involved. He hasn't seen them.
Yeah.
And starts just, like, searching.
Yeah, I think at this point when he's searching, the loyalist people have fled.
Yeah. The battle is ceased. Mm-hmm. And he's looking through all the dead Illyrians, trying to find his buddies.
Which is really sad.
I know. And even if they aren't Castanaz, I'm sure he knows a lot of them.
Yeah,
So
and he said, like, there were some that he saw that he knew and some that he didn't, but, you know, that's terrible.
Poor Reese. Yeah, so that just sets us a scene.
It does.
The lay of the land. Gives you a taste of war.
Grim.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
But then we start diving into Feyre's situation.
We do. And the first line of chapter 1 is, "The painting was a lie." I'm like, that sets it up pretty good.
Yeah. Everything that's going on for her right now is a lie.
Yeah.
But she is painting.
Yeah.
Which she hadn't really done for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So she's back to painting.
Well, she painted in the cabin after she found out that Reese was her mate.
That's true.
So
that is really what unleashed her painting once more.
So you were wrong.
I was. I'll claim it.
Just kidding.
Okay, but painting... But painting on a canvas hasn't happened in a hot minute, okay? That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Whatever.
But she's painting scenes and, you know, she's like, this is some of my best work, but it's not coming from anything true.
Yeah, and I think that, like, with the painting, she's also trying to, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
She's
trying to, like, metaphorically paint a picture that she's, like, so happy to be back in spring, and...
Yeah, I feel like it's a mix of that. Like, she's trying to put on this air of both being healing and happy, but also still, like, conflicted a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, she's haunted by everything that Reese did to her while she was under the night court, and, of course, still healing from under the mountain. Whatever. She's trying to give them a piece of the Feyre before she left, also.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, she's showing that she's healing from these horrors, but I think that she's actually experiencing that at the same time because she's back in spring court, and so she's, like, facing all of the things that she dealt with before,
facing her demons, so to speak. And I imagine being back in that manor is suffocating.
It's gotta be,
considering the last time she was there, she was trapped inside.
There was some serious trauma last time she was here, so it's like,
it can't be a walk in the park.
No.
And she has to deal with fucking tampon. I don't know why I stumbled over that word.
Fuck.
As if I haven't said fucking on this podcast many a time.
Freaking
Tampy. A mix of Tammy and Tampon.
Sure.
His name is evolving. Ever evolving. Nonetheless.
Ooh, I don't like the evolution.
I know. I hate it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll go back to different versions, maybe.
No, I mean, I don't like the way Tamlin is evolving either. So it fits.
Pissed. I'm pissed. Let alone Feyre that we're back here.
Same.
I cannot stand Tamlin.
No.
I can't.
And I feel like he's even more insufferable.
Yeah.
Now. Like, just...
Yes.
I mean, he's doing things that she's asking him to do, like letting her be more involved in whatever, but he's still just the whole situation with Hybern, and it's all very icky.
Yeah, he just is gross, and I'm upset by him.
Yeah.
And honestly, y'all, it's like hard to get through the first part of this book because of that. Yeah. Like, I'm just so irritated. Although things are happening. I
struggled this week.
Yeah.
Struggled.
Fair.
You know, like, I normally read 2 or 3 books a week, and I read half a book this week. I could not, because I spent so much time just trying to trudge through this.
Yes. This book is not as... It sets you off in, like, a spot that... I don't know. I think Akamath paints this wonderful, glorious, fantastical picture for the last half of it, especially. Mm-hmm. And then you're torn from it immediately and put back into just, like, misery.
Put back with tampon.
Yeah. Freaking tampon. Ugh. But nonetheless, Feyre's thinking about all this role that she's playing. She's thinking about all the people she misses, her mate being one of them. And she just became High Lady. She can't even, like, celebrate any of that. She has to pretend as if nothing that happened.
Yeah.
And she breaks a freaking paintbrush.
Oh yeah, she breaks her paintbrush and then lights it on fire.
Yeah. She's using her magic a lot in this section. She's really gotten, like, a good grip on all of her powers.
Yeah, I think she mentioned too that she, like, has a shield around the room that she's in so that she knows if someone's about to walk in on her or something like that. And
she can send out her dark tendrils or whatever to get a lay of the land. Yeah, see if there's anybody afoot.
Yeah.
But then Tamlin and Lucian come in. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you know what? We're going to talk to Ianthe soon. Ianthe?
Whatever you want to call her.
You know, that lady, the priestess. Because, if we remember, she's the one who turned Feyre's sisters over.
Yeah.
And they have yet to reprimand her.
Yeah.
From what it sounded like.
Yeah. Well, and Tamlin says, like, she wants to explain herself to you. Like, she had reasons for what she did, and she wants to explain them to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
there's no good reason for what she did.
No. You stole mortal lives from 2 people.
From 2 people who meant consent. The world to Feyre.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Ugh. And the fact that Tamlin doesn't immediately just, like, lay down the law, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's still right up Anthe's ass.
Yeah.
And making sure that she still loves him.
Yep.
Which is annoying.
It is infuriating.
More than annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anger.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yep. Before they go and do that, though, Feyre talks about her old bedroom.
She does.
And how it's been destroyed in her absence. And there was a very large callback to ACOTAR, the first book, with thorns and vines crawling all over the room. And I was like,
yeah.
Back to thorny crap time.
Thorny crap time.
And a room's positioned across the hall from Lucian's nowadays.
Yeah, and she describes her bedroom like a tomb. So,
Yeah.
like, part of her died there.
Yeah.
With everything Tamlin did, you know?
Right. A part that
That's how I interpreted that, anyways.
I like that. And definitely, I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, what came out of said death of part of her is much better.
Absolutely,
Much better.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to break to grow.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. Need to get out of there.
Yeah.
But I think then, Lucian and her, like, chatting, walking to go talk to Anthe or something?
And yeah, I think so.
He asks about Elaine at this point.
Yes. And she also tells him that she's, like, willing to hear out Anthe. And he's like,
Are you?
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He's very suspicious of her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he has been since the end of Math.
Mm-hmm. He never bought it fully.
Yeah, no, but he's, like, pushing now, like, asking questions and...
Yeah. Trying to get her to react in a way that would let on to something more than this picture she's painting.
Yeah.
And she's done well at weaving and dodging this man.
She has.
She just keeps like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But then they go talk to freaking Anthe, and I wrote down, gross excuses.
Yep.
Because it's upsetting.
Yeah.
Anthe, of course, is like, I'm so sorry. I thought that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
As if that is a good reason.
Right. And I'm sorry, but you don't get to, like, make those kind of decisions for me.
No, that's
like,
a big decision to make on behalf of someone else.
Absolutely.
And Feyre never once explicitly said, hey, Anthe,
I want my sisters to be with me forever.
Do you know of a way to make them into Fae?
Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, I know. I can't with her.
Excuse my language, but
it's
fuck
fine.
That bitch.
I know. She's a bitch. And she's so irritating, and I hate any time she's around.
Same. I, like, every time I see her name, want to scream.
Yeah, she's such a snake.
Yeah.
A snake.
A slithery little snake.
That's right. I thought it was interesting, too, though, in this sort of interaction, Feyre brings up the circlet that she always wears. Mm-hmm. That's, like, blue, whatever.
Yeah.
Fancy. And she's like, I wonder if that's, like, the siphons that my good old Illyrian warriors wear. Yeah. Cass and Az.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's meant to harness her magic in some way. But then she's like, I've never seen her do anything, actually. So I don't know if there's any validity behind that.
Right.
And no, she hasn't really. No. What can she do? Come on.
Really, though.
Except for put on a show. And
she's real good at acting.
Like a magician.
A magician.
Anthe also goes on to say that there was no avoiding the King of Hybern, so why not ally up with him?
Right.
Like, no matter what we do, we're fucked, so we might as well make him a buddy.
Knowing what happens later in this set of chapters, and, like, hearing all of her excuses just makes me so much more mad.
Now talking about it again.
Yeah.
I know, we, like, refuel the fire after we've gotten through parts. Yeah, it's obnoxious.
Yeah. It is indeed.
The whole dang thing. She was just trying to ensure the lands and our people survive. Get out of here. But Lucian, all this he's wary.
He is. He's very skeptical of the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he keeps, like, challenging Tamlin.
Yeah.
Being like, this is a bad idea, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, we gotta keep our minds about us.
Yeah, like, Hybern already kind of fucked them over.
Yeah.
In the whole sister thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't part of the bargain, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So who's to say that keeping an alliance with him is going to do you any good?
I don't think an alliance means anything to King Hybern.
Absolutely not.
Outside of, meeting his own needs.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't give two shits if he breaks his side of the deal.
It makes me so mad.
I know. Yeah, Lucian's not convinced that they'll still stay oh my goodness. Peaceful.
Peaceful.
And Tamlin's like, we gotta be in a united front, okay? Yeah. We gotta, just make the most of it. He still trusts Anthe.
Mm-hmm. Of course he does.
Yeah, and, the whole part of their bargain of retrieving Feyre, his possession, was to keep his people safe.
Yeah.
It wasn't at all an egotistical, freaking possessive move in the slightest.
No, not at all.
No.
Tammy, never.
Never.
Tampy.
I forgot that I said that already. I hate it.
It's been 5 minutes.
I know. Goldfish.
Settle
That's
down.
why I have notes for this podcast.
Same. Big same.
Yes. But after all that goes down, what does Tamlin tell Feyre? Do you remember?
No, what does he tell her?
Jurian's on his way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be here, like, tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Jurian's on his way. He's showing up in the morrow.
Arrives tomorrow.
Yep. And of course, Feyre's dreading that.
Yeah, she's like, Tamlin must know that Jurian is actually insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can't be insane after centuries trapped in a ring as a lazy eye.
Truly. There's no way. And to have been resurrected, like, that's more than even, being human turned Fae.
Right.
Like, you died and were torn apart and died dead. And you were torn apart into pieces that a woman wore as jewelry.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's really good. Jurian seems cool.
He's got to be insane.
He's chill.
Sure.
And then while she's dreading all of this, Tamlin and Lucien kind of seem to forget that the cauldron's like wall-shattering power is a thing.
Yeah.
Or they don't care.
Yeah, they're just like, it's
They're
fine.
just like, it's not a big deal. They can take it down.
No big deal.
And she learns that Jurian and commanders are coming to like survey the wall. Mm-hmm. Find the holes.
Yeah, they want to like assess the land around the holes, I feel like, to make sure to find what they need.
Don't know what they're up to.
I don't either.
They talk about it a little bit later, but not enough to make me understand.
I think that, it's said later on that, like, making Elaine and Nesta Faye and also the oh my god.
I rubbed off on you.
I am stuttering. Also the Mortal Queens like drained its power, and so it's weak.
Yeah.
And so I think that the hope is that finding the holes in the wall will like aid the cauldron in bringing down the wall, so it doesn't have to have full power.
Yeah. I think that this is mentioned later, but whatever. They also, I think, eventually mention that the cauldron needs to, like, learn the magic that caused the holes, or something to that effect. But nonetheless, I'm like, well, okay, we'll get to that, I guess. Yeah, we're jumping ahead. But when she learns this, Feyre's like, okay, I got 2 tasks right now. My first one being, I need to figure out where they're going to be, doing the things, and when. Mm-hmm. And then I got to tell Rhys. Yep. I gotta inform him down our mating bond.
Yeah. Which the bond in this section.
Yeah.
She's having some troubles.
She is, yeah. And I feel like she wonders if it's because they broke the bargain. Like, why is it so dim? Like, It's hard to hear. It feels like a struggle to send a message. Like, it's yelling across a long distance.
Yeah.
And it's struggling.
Yep.
Something's going on. What's up?
I guess that is happening yet? Like,
I think, maybe. I don't know. She mentioned she had talked to him once when she got back to the spring court, and it did feel weaker than it had.
Okay.
Although it may not be. I don't know. Whatever. In this section, well, they tell us later.
I know, but that's why I'm wondering if it's happening now, because the royals aren't there yet.
Yeah, so maybe it's our problem and not the book.
It's very possible. Probably the most likely, honestly.
Us jumping to conclusions, even though we know what actually is happening. Yeah. But she, again, has only talked to Rhys once. She's worrying that the bond, like, using it too much will make her smell, like, the mating smell.
Yeah.
Be stinkier.
She says that, like, Tamlin and Lucien assume that she still smells like the mating bond because Rhys forced himself upon her, which is, like, ew.
Yeah.
But she, worries that it's gonna renew the scent.
Yeah.
Keep it nice and fresh.
Make her stinky.
Stinky.
Even though in theory it would be diminishing over time.
Right.
And I'm sure the fact that she still smells like him is maybe a little sus as it is. So.
Maybe.
I don't know. But then the Hybern folks arrive.
They do.
Jurian in tow with Prince
Dagdan. Prince Dagdan.
Dagdan and Princess Branna.
Branna. Branna. Princess Hoobileedoo and Prince Hershmuhdur.
Their names are wild.
Yeah.
And I think I only wrote them down a couple times and then just did B&D for everything else.
I got real tired of, like, how do I spell her name? Oh, yeah.
Branna. And they're weird.
They are.
And creepy.
They are indeed. And they also insist on sharing a room, and they're brother and sister.
Yeah, I think they're twins.
They're twins.
They're twins.
They're
want to share a
also
room.
Not only twins, but they are Hybern's niece and nephew.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Did they say that?
Yep.
Oh, I've completely missed that
Wow.
part. Well, I'm glad you caught it, because we help each other. But they have this, like, vacant, unfeeling look about them.
Yeah.
Like, their eyes are just sort of glossy.
Yeah.
And they are creepy as hell.
Yeah, I don't like them.
Nope, don't like them at all. They
Not
give
a
bad
fan.
vibes immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
But of course, Feyre's got to play this nice, good hostess, lady of the spring court.
Yeah, I have a quote written down that I want to read.
Okay.
How Feyre describes herself.
Okay.
She's, putting on an air of a harmless, lovely package, perfect for a High Lord to mount whenever he pleases. And I literally wrote, gag!
Truly! But this is like the box she was being forced into before she left.
Yeah.
Anthea and Tamlin were like grooming her to be
Absolutely.
this, you just sit and be pretty. That's really all your purpose is.
Yeah.
So she's back at it again.
She is indeed.
And Jurian's an ass. Mm-hmm. He keeps provoking everybody.
He is, but I kind of love him.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's just like chaos.
He is.
And maybe the Spring Court needs that.
Yeah. Or something.
I
don't know.
Something to stir the pot a little. But he brings up Feyre having caused the war in some capacity. He's like, I've never heard of, a lady causing such a rift between two High Lords, something along those lines. Like, I'm surprised Rhys hasn't started war with you.
Yeah.
To get her back.
Yeah, especially because they're mates.
Are they? They don't need to know that. I mean, they allude to the fact that they know that they still are, and y'all are just okay with that? Even though it's like, one, she's not your mate, Tamlin.
Right.
Because you can only have one, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
And
two,
I assume that, like, if Tamlin had felt a bond with her, I wanted to say imprinted on her. This is not Twilight.
That's a different...
Anyways, I assume that if that had happened, he would have been on that immediately. Like, he would have claimed her or whatever. So there's no way. But yes, I think you can only have one. I would assume.
Yeah, I would imagine. Anyway, there's like, yeah, it's fine. You might be someone else's mate, and this is something that's like cherished above all else in Fae culture, but like, you're mine.
But you're mine.
You're mine.
I had you first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I licked you. It's mine.
Yeah. Then, Jurian talks about having fought alongside Rhysand and the Illyrians.
Mm-hmm.
And, essentially is poking fun now at Lucian, saying that Elaine must be getting taken by all the Illyrians.
She's being pounded.
Yeah, by every last Illyrian.
Every last one. They were like, why would you even want her anymore? She's no good anymore. Ew.
Because that's how women should be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. They also learn that Jurian has already tried bringing Miriam back with the cauldron.
Uh-huh.
And it didn't work, so he gathered that she's still alive.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know why I didn't write that down, but yeah.
Yeah. So they've already tried it to bring her back.
Yeah.
And then they talk about, going to the wall, and Feyre says that she and Lucian are going to take him.
Yeah. Jurian's going to go, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, all of the Hybern people are going.
The creeps.
Yeah.
Good old B&D.
The twins.
The twins. That's just how we're going to refer to them.
Yeah.
And also in this interaction, the twins start doing some stuff.
Yeah. Feyre feels a little wiggle in her brain.
Yeah, a little wiggle.
A little wiggle.
She starts feeling them, like, prodding, trying to get past her mental shields, and she knows that they'll likely do that to everyone else.
Yeah.
And, like, throws up a shield, and they seem taken aback by it, but nobody ever, like, vocalizes what just happened. So they're very much Daemati or whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I think that Feyre had a suspicion that they were before that, like, even just from their initial interaction.
Yeah.
So that obviously
it came
clarified.
to fruition.
Clarified?
Sure.
That's not the word I'm looking for.
It
It doesn't matter.
proved.
Sure.
Solidified.
Thank you. Yeah.
We got there.
Anywho. So yeah, she throws a shield up, but also runs her talons, her mental talons, like down their walls in their brains. And they're like, oh, God.
She's like, try me, suckers.
Yeah. I see what you're doing, bitches.
I got the power. I see yours and match you my own.
And this is when she gets her first, like, headache after using her magic.
Oh, yeah.
She is like, why does my brain hurt?
Yeah. Why is that going on?
Yeah.
When it hasn't happened before.
Never.
It's not a thing.
I wonder if we'll find out later.
Could it be? In this section, even? But then they go to the wall. Feyre and Lucien and the twins and Jurian, the whole freaking crew. I think a couple of, like, sentries are with them.
Yeah, and when they arrive at the wall, Feyre describes the, like, feeling that she gets from the wall as this, like, hideous presence, and it's, like, pulsing and throbbing, and I thought this was weird because they had to travel through the wall to get to the mortal realm to meet with the queens, and she never described it so, like, intensely, which I thought was just kind of weird.
It is weird. I do remember having like a weird feeling about it all.
Yeah, maybe there was like a weird sensation like going through the wall, but she never described it as so like disgusting and horrible
and daunting.
Yeah. So that was weird to me. I was like, y'all, you have traveled through that wall. What do you mean?
Maybe the wall is getting spooky.
Maybe. Or Sarah J. Maas just wasn't thinking when she wrote it.
Well, that can't be it. She's a genius. No, but maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. Or maybe I'm a goldfish, and she did describe it as horrible, and I just don't remember.
Yeah, y'all tell us, because I don't remember either. I know she talks about the wall and that, but I don't remember what she says about it.
Yeah, I just don't remember it being so, like, intense to her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But they approach the wall. They're starting to have these conversations, and Feyre learns that there's 3 holes along the wall within the Spring Court territory.
And this first one is the one that she went through, right? With Tamlin?
Yeah, that's the one that she's been through before.
And she describes it as barely big enough for a human to fit through, which I'm like, then how did Tamlin fit a whole fucking horse carriage through that shit?
That's a great question. I didn't even think about that.
Another plot hole.
Well, I mean, High Lord magic, maybe. Because, like, Tamlin's also huge, I imagine. Especially in beastie form.
I guess, yeah.
So, like, he had to bust his way on through. And Andros, the Wolfie, he couldn't have been small.
I know.
I don't know.
Is it a plot hole or is it magic?
Probably magic, if I had to guess. I think
I'm just really desperately trying to find a plot hole here. Okay.
Where are the plot holes? They're probably somewhere. But I think that, the Fae probably have... I'm spitting, I'm sorry. The Fae probably have the ability to go past the wall.
Maybe.
And it's more to keep the humans out.
I guess that makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
Because those slimy, stupid mortals, they don't deserve Prithian and all it has to offer.
Especially not Spring Court.
The best one out there. And when Feyre learns that there's another couple holes, she's like, we'll take a trip.
Yeah, we'll just go.
It's fine. It's great. We're not going to do it today, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's a several-day journey.
Yeah, the second hole is, like, 2 days away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the the one after that is another 2 days past that.
Yeah. So it would take some time to hit them all in one go.
It would.
But they're just doing the one. And so the twins go off and inspect this hole.
They do. Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
While they are at the wall, though, or like while all of them are together, Feyre keeps like inching closer to Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. She said it was like she wanted the twins to think that she was intimidated by them. So every time they look at her, she's like, "Save me, Lucian."
Yeah. I think that's part of it. And
oh, yeah.
But in this, like, it is very much, yeah.
She's putting on a show.
She, one, let them know that she has powers that she probably doesn't want them to know, but had to in that scenario. So now she's trying to feign, like, I'm still weak and powerless.
Yeah.
I am not at all conniving.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I'm just your cute little hostess.
I have talons in my brain, but don't punch me.
Punch. That would be their plan of attack. Sucker punch her right in the jaw.
That was just the first thing that came to mind, but I think she was trying to say, like, that she's physically intimidated by them. Yeah. So, like, she couldn't fight them in hand-to-hand combat, but she has brain talons.
Yeah. Yeah, so. You're right. I just had to make fun of you a little bit.
It's fine.
Or just punching. The scenario in my head was funny, so I had to make a joke about it.
Okay.
Freaking Dagdan just sucker punches her. Anyways, they went... Lucian and Feyre are hanging out, waiting for the twins to do their thing, which apparently takes hours.
Apparently.
It takes a long time.
And what are they doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I want to know what they're looking for. Like,
yeah.
Why is one hole going to be better than the next?
Right. In any other context. But that's what I'm saying. What the heck are they doing out there?
I don't know.
Why are they taking hours to fondle a hole? Scope it out.
We have to stop talking about holes. And especially fondling them.
Oh my gosh. We gotta reel it in. It's gonna be just like 10 minutes of us laughing because we're idiots.
You can't talk about fondling holes and expect me not to laugh.
I know, I'm sorry. It never happened.
I'm crying. Okay.
In any case. Seriousness. While Lucian and Feyre are chatting. We're never going to get through this.
I'm sorry, y'all. Ooh, I'm putting on my serious face now.
So they talk. They talk about a number of things. Lucian talks about how he went with Tamlin to Hybern for her too, even though he says that when she asks him, like, would you fight with the human Fey Alliance or otherwise, he said he'd fight with the Alliance.
Yeah.
So, he went to Hybern, but he'd fight with the humans. His dad did. We learned that about Baron.
Yeah.
That he was a part of the human Fae. Which
I can't see that.
I can't either.
It's interesting
to me. Not with the way that he's painted.
Yeah, no.
Throughout this book. He talks, too, about how, it was an unexpected trap. He does seem very remorseful about what had happened. Mm-hmm. And Feyre asks him, like, why Hybern wants to do this. Why? What's their goal? And he's about to tell her. And then he gets cut off. Or at least say something. But he gets cut off by Jurian.
Oh, yeah, Jurian. Good old Jurian.
Gets interrupted. And when Jurian shows up, like, Lucian and Feyre are, like, knee to knee. And they seem intimate. Mm-hmm. Intimate.
Intimate.
They seem as if they're a little too close.
They are. Which is a common theme.
Yeah.
In this.
It sure is.
Yep.
It's like it was planned. And he says something. I think Jurian makes some quip about, like, them being close. And
Jurian's always out here making quips.
He sure
I'm
is.
trying to find in my notes where we're at. I'm sorry.
Okay. I know, I just keep talking to fill silence, but then don't give you time.
It's fine. Honestly, this, especially these, like, first couple beginning chapters were really hard for me to get through. And I don't remember much of it.
Well, I got you.
So,
I
might... You just talk away.
Okay, you can just pipe in.
Yeah. I'll be like, yeah, Durian, then.
Yeah, dude, yeah. But then they get back to the manor, and Ianthe greets them at the stables.
Yes, she does. I found it finally.
Yay!
Thank you.
She greets them at the stables, and Journey and the twins don't seem to care for her.
Yeah, no. Tamlin is the only one that likes her at all.
Yeah. Yeah, she gives the ick to everyone else.
Yeah.
Which, like, fair.
Same.
But maybe it's because Tamlin's icky, too. He, like, calls to, like...
I feel like they would be a perfect couple.
Yeah, they should get together. Let Feyre out.
And Feyre asks Lucian at one point, like, if they did anything. We're getting there. We'll talk about it later.
Yes, it is brought up eventually. But Ianthe talks about the summer solstice and how she wants to talk to Feyre about that at some point. Mm-hmm. And Feyre's like, yeah, great! And acts like she's excited. And Lucian is obviously super uncomfy around Ianthe. Yeah. More so than even he was before. Mm-hmm. And this is actually where we find out.
This is
so you were right in the right section.
I was. Feyre asks Lucian, like, if anything happened between Ianthe and Tamlin. After she left. Mm-hmm. And Lucian's like, nah, like, Tamlin couldn't even participate in Calanmai. Mm-hmm. And then he just drops that, you know, he took Tamlin's place. Yeah. And Ianthe insisted that she was the one he took to the cave. Yeah. And so he did.
Yeah, he did. And he's traumatized by it.
I don't blame him.
No. I can't imagine that was a fun experience for him. And I hate her. I know. Poor Lucian. I know. Poor Lucian.
And screw Tamlin.
I know.
For, like...
just for everything.
Like, Lucian literally would put his entire ass...
the entire ass.
On the line for Tamlin. And Tamlin's just like,
yeah, whatever.
You can suffer for me. It's fine.
Bidding.
Yeah.
Well, it's his subject.
Yeah.
You know? He doesn't see Lucian as an equal.
No, not at all. It pisses me off.
I know. Tampy is the worst. But...
my turn!
But Feyre, after hearing this from Lucian, says, I won't tell anyone unless you want me to or say that I can or whatever.
Yeah.
And Lucian says, you are a better friend to me than I ever was to you. And I was like, Lucian... You're starting to get it.
Yeah, and Feyre at this point is, like, finding it hard to remember that she's supposed to hate Lucian.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, I mean, they had a good relationship before she left.
They did,
Minus him just kissing Tamlin's ass at every turn, but...
Letting Tamlin lock her in the fucking manor.
Right, which is still a point of contention, for sure. But they had a good banter. They were like siblings, like we talked about.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're getting back to that. I think Lucian is realizing that, like, Feyre... was way better. I mean, he said it was way better to him than he ever was to her.
Absolutely,
and, you know, is he's seeing it more and more. But then Alice comes to get Feyre ready for the solstice.
Yeah. And Alice is like, girl, these dresses will not fit you anymore. Mm-hmm. Because we had to take out too much fabric before.
Yeah, because
you were miserable and
wasting away.
Yeah. And... now you're, like, happy and healthy, and these don't fit. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Gives her a white dress. Mm-hmm. But also knows Feyre's up to something.
Well, before the white dress thing, Feyre is like, well, don't you have something that'll fit me? And Alice gives her night court clothes.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
She's like, this is all I have.
Yeah. Alice knows what's good. Uh-huh. She knows.
She absolutely knows.
But she was there the day that Feyre was locked up. Yeah. She asked Moore to take her. Mm-hmm. She knew that it wasn't, like, a vicious abduction. It was a saving more than it was, like, kidnapping. Yeah. And she knows that Feyre's here doing some stuff, and Feyre's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And there's a quote on page 36 that I want to read.
Okay.
Alice says to Feyre...
I have the same one.
Alice says, they say you came back different, came back wrong. I think you came back right at last. And I'm like, oh, Alice. Like, she sees that Feyre has been pieced back together and is thriving. Which is wrong because she's not compliant and,
right.
you know, this feeble little broken girl that Tamlin and Lucien can mold.
Yeah, she actually has a brain now.
Yeah.
And can, like...
Yeah.
Wants to be a part of things and make decisions.
And just the air about her. She's more confident. She's more XYZ.
Yeah.
Less, like, protesting because, you know, she knows she's not going to be there long. And Alice, before they separate ways, asks Phaedra to leave her boys out of whatever it is she's doing.
Yeah. She also tells Phaedra that she has, like, a cousin or something that lives in the Summer Court because that's where Alice is originally from. And so she heard about their visit to Summer Court.
And that Phaedra seemed all happy.
And that Phaedra was happy. And
yeah.
So I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah,
and then, she asks Phaedra to... I have the quote written down if you want me to read it.
Sure. Why not?
Alice says, I will only say this once. Whatever you plan to do, I beg you leave my boys out of it. Take whatever retribution you desire, but please spare them.
Yeah.
So she obviously knows.
Oh, for sure. And Phaedra's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Alice.
I don't have
And Alice is like, okay, whatever. I mean, she can't say anything outright.
Right.
And, you know, there might be someone listening, / Alice could be playing both sides.
Absolutely.
You don't know.
She could be pulling a Phaedra.
She could be. She could also be an inside spy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then the summer solstice comes, and dude, when I tell you that I freaking loved this,
I know
so much.
I know
because it's so good. Just
so
like
good.
One little slap down to put Anthe in her place,
and it was such a like simple thing.
Yeah,
that I remember the first time reading this, I did not see this coming at all.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah,
cheering in the stands.
Yeah.
But truly, it's such like a brilliant move because it is a very small thing that has a huge impact.
Yeah, and like no one is gonna be like, "Oh, Phaedra, you did that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody could blame her for it.
No one can blame her for it.
No. Which, what is it?
Oh yeah, I guess we gotta talk about it, huh?
Yeah, she arrives to the summer solstice and starts thinking about how last year she, you know, danced while Tam played on his fiddle and they got drunk on wine and made out and had these, like, different moments. Like, life was so much different then. And then she goes on to think about her wedding and, like, their to-be wedding where she bailed. Gets lost in those thoughts for a second and imagines Tamlin is thinking of the same.
Yeah.
And then she talks about how this ceremony is, like, real extra with Ianthe being involved.
Yeah, because Ianthe insisted on, like, all of the extra prayers or whatever beforehand, and everyone is fucking annoyed.
Yeah, nobody gives
no
two
one
shits.
cares.
No.
Except
like,
for Ianthe.
Can we get on with this? I just want to get drunk and dance.
I just want to drink and have fun.
Eat food. Same.
Eat food.
Same. But it's super extra. Everything's really elaborate. And we find out that in all of this, like, even the preparations, like, the prayers that Ianthe is then giving, etc., like, Phaedra was manipulating. She was puppeteering behind all of this. She encouraged her to, like, bring the twins and Jurian up to honor them.
Yeah, she had a whole plan to get everyone but herself, like, to somewhere else so that she could move some things.
Herself and Lucien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that she necessarily... Oh, she did. Never mind.
Yeah. He's a part of this.
He is indeed.
He's a puzzle piece. She, like, manipulated it to where everyone else is up at the podium. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Wherever Anthe's spouting her nonsense. And so she's left alone right in the line of the sun and she mentions, like, Anthe normally places markers for this, like, grand show.
And Phaedra, like, very subtly used her wind power to move the rock so that she would be in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Or the marker.
Yeah.
Which I think was a rock.
It was, yeah. You're right. Yeah, and generally this is, like, a grand show of Anthe's where she's positioned perfectly to be hit by the sun and glow and
it's
the
like
cauldron
the
blessed.
cauldron picking her to be blessed. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
God, I hate that woman.
And that just goes to show that bitch is always just scheming.
She's scheming.
That's all she does. I think that is her magic power.
I'm telling you, she's a magician. She's just using illusions to, like, paint this picture of her power and her importance, etc. Which is really irritating.
It's disgusting.
It's so gross. I can't. I cannot.
I hate her.
Me too. Can we boycott? I guess Feyre takes care of it in the end.
She does.
But Ianthe says, there's a quote right before everything goes down, in the middle of all this manipulation.
Manipulation.
Ianthe says, as the light is strongest today, let it drive out unwanted darkness, let it banish the dark stain of evil, which is like a callback to Rhys. And you know what ends up happening?
The cauldron.
The cauldron picks.
It picks Feyre.
She's the strongest light.
She is cauldron blessed.
She is cauldron blessed. My gosh. Praise be. Yeah, as soon as the sun comes up, Feyre's aglow. And not only from the sun, she lets out her power.
She lets out her power from dawn, right? And makes herself glow.
Glow like a sun. She is the sun.
And Lucian is the only one standing by her. So what does he do?
He freaking bows.
I love him.
I do too. He's like, wow, you are cauldron. He's very gullible.
Yeah, or he was playing along a little bit.
I wonder. Like, does he have an idea of what's happening here?
Because he's so suspicious of her.
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of knows.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll play along.
Sure, let's see what happens. We're putting, like, sticking one to Ianthe, so I'm down.
Yeah.
It's kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happens.
Yeah.
But he bows before her and, like, puts his brow to her knuckles. It's this whole freaking show.
Yeah.
Just as dramatic as Ianthe's would be.
Uh-huh.
And Feyre says, a night before his queen. He bows.
He bows. And then for the next 6 hours, Ianthe's like trying to explain what happened.
Yeah.
She says the sun altered its very path to show how glad it was for Feyre's return.
Or like the person I picked. She says something like, I picked her and the cauldron
Something
knew that.
like that,
yeah. Like, okay. As if she's still the one orchestrating this whole thing.
Yeah, and everyone just kind of ignores her.
Yeah.
Like, no one is... There's, like, a few people who are mildly interested, but everyone else is just like, shut up.
Even her acolytes. They're the ones that are like, okay, sure. And Feyre, though, people keep coming up to her and, like, you know, are gushing about her having been the chosen one. And she's like, an honor. Over and over. An honor. Yeah, I'm sure it is, Feyre.
I love her.
I know. She's starting to get so badass. She's getting cool.
She is.
I hated her for a while.
I did
not
too.
hated, but like I'm irritated by you.
Yeah, she was annoying and like
dumb.
Just dumb.
Yeah,
like use your brain, and she's
now.
Finally using her brain.
She's unlocked the power of her brain.
The first 6 episodes telling Feyre to just use her brain. Yeah. She listened.
We've gotten there. She just needed to have a dose of cool people to train her. But yeah, she's putting on this show.
I was gonna say something.
What?
She needed a course of the night court dick.
That's right. That course set her in the right direction.
Yeah.
That course being Rhys. But then Feyre sends the images of what happened down to Rhys.
Yeah, and this... Okay. I want to hear your thoughts on this because, you know, she says, like, they talk and she tells them what happens and they... Is this the right... Hang on.
What is your question?
I have questions, but I think this might be a different part. Is this when he, like, sends her the image down the bond with the tongue?
Oh.
Or is that later?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we can talk about it now. At some point, she, like, sends him a picture...
Of her sticking her tongue out.
Of her sticking her tongue out. And first of all, I said, what the fuck? This isn't text messaging. How are you just sending pictures? I don't understand. Second of all, Rhys replies with a picture of him also sticking his tongue out, but it then says, but his tongue was busy doing something else. What was his tongue doing? Okay.
Tongue between the fingers.
Okay.
Also, to answer your other question, if they can see each other's memories, is it not the same thing?
I know, but it's not like I'm, like, sitting here in the bath and I can see myself perfectly, right?
That's
so
true.
How am I sending him a picture of my face? It doesn't make sense.
That's a great point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Because it's your point of view, not...
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they... No, because Reese is sticking it... Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm confused.
Plot hole.
Unless they can, like, curate that image in their head.
I guess maybe.
And send it.
But how accurate would that be?
They just send the vibe of the image and the other person creates it.
Could be.
I don't know, man. It's a great question. What are your thoughts?
Please tell me.
But Reese, after hearing all this, he, like, laughs about it. And he's like, when do you come home to me? And I'm like, go home. And then Feyre goes out and asks Tamlin to dance. I know. They have dinner. And...
they have dinner, and then they go sit under a tree and watch everyone else have fun. Which is, like...
yeah.
Really paints a picture of what it's like to be with Tamlin.
Just observing. And she, has to act like she's cool, but is full of resentment. Like, she's running through all of these thoughts, and then looks up and the stars are in the sky, and she, like, takes comfort in them.
I have a quote I want to read about this.
Okay.
On page 46.
46.
The stars winked into existence, dim and small above the blazing fires. I watched them through the long hours of celebrating and could have sworn that they kept me company. My silent and stalwart friends.
Yeah.
I was like, oh...
That's
she
sweet.
misses night court.
So bad.
Oh.
So bad.
I know. Oh my god.
Oh.
Sorry.
But after all that's said and done, all those shenanigans are over.
Mm-hmm.
Feyre goes up to bed.
She does. It's like the middle of the night.
And another conniving ploy.
I know.
Yeah. Another good one.
She lays in her bed for a while.
Uh-huh.
First, she asks Lucian to take her up to her bedroom.
Yeah.
Not Tamlin.
Yeah.
And then she lays in her bed.
Mm-hmm. After getting on a little cute, scandalous, lacy gown.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the gown.
She puts on her little cute lingerie that she used to wear for Tam Tam.
She does. And then she tosses and turns in bed for a little while.
Yep.
And then she's laying there. I think she starts, like, thinking about things, too, that, like, actually...
Upset her
or cause fear, like the Weaver and the Bone Carver.
Yeah.
The worm.
Yep.
The SpongeBob worm.
Yeah, she has a nightmare, in quotes.
Yeah. Gets up. Runs to Lucian's door.
She does.
Because, it's conveniently right across the hall.
Yeah.
Where else would she go?
That's the only place. And when she gets there, she starts talking to him about Under the Mountain.
Uh-huh.
And, like, having flashbacks of all of that went down. And Lucian comforts her. But she talks about how when he answers the door, he, like, barely got his pants on. They're still unbuttoned. He doesn't have a shirt on. So he's also exposed.
Yeah. And he's like, I heard you.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you okay?
You good?
Girl.
And she embraces him. She gets into his arms. And what happens, Sarah?
Well, good old Tamp walks in.
Tampy tampon.
Tampy tamp.
Comes in, is like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And Lucian is, like, cradling Feyre.
Yeah.
He's, like, got a hand in her hair, and the other one's around her waist.
It's pretty intimate.
She's crying into his chest.
Yeah.
Which also, she, like, used her...
Water power.
To, like, conjure saltwater tears.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, girl, you're amazing.
Yeah, she's doing the most right now.
She is.
And I love it. She's being really convincing. But, of course, Tamlin's pissed.
Yeah. And Feyre pushes away from Lucian when he walks in.
Yeah.
And she's, like, purposefully doing it too fast for anything to be casual about what they're doing.
Yeah. She knows. She acts as if, she's like, oh, snap. I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I have written down. It's on page 50, and this is after Tamlin discovered them. She says, a nightmare I'd told Tamlin I was the nightmare, preying on what Tamlin had feared from my very first days here. I had not forgotten that long ago fight he picked with Lucian, the warning he'd given him to stop flirting with me, to stay away, the fear that I'd preferred the red-haired lord over him and that it would threaten every plan he had. back off, he'd told Lucien. I had no doubt Tamlin was now running through every look and conversation since then, every time Lucien had interviewed on my behalf, both under the mountain and afterward, weighing on how much that new mating bond with Elaine held sway over his friend. And I was like, yes,
queen. Yeah.
She's getting strategic.
I also just wanted to note that when Tamlin came in, she, like, has to pull him out of the room because he's pissed, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And then she just, like, closes her door in his face. She's like, all right, good night. I had a nightmare. Bye.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Keep freaking rejecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the next day, a key to the gate is missing, but nobody talks about it.
Yeah. Tamlin doesn't really seem to care.
He's too, like, wrapped up.
Because he's too wrapped up in the Feyre and Lucien thing that happened last night.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't say anything, but nobody talks about it.
No.
They're just like, yeah, all right, that happened.
Just brushes it under the rug.
No big deal.
Feyre debates, like, asking Jurian outright if he stole the keys.
Yeah.
But she's like, nah.
Let it play out.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, yeah. And then our best friend Yanthy comes.
I hate her. Every time we talk about her, I will
reinforce
that fact.
Your hatred.
I hate her.
I do too.
She's the worst.
Yeah, she comes in and she's like, guys, my land is dying. The land around my temple.
First of all, she's like, I need to talk to Tamlin.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait till after breakfast when you can be alone, though. Like, she's power playing a little bit.
And Tamlin's like, no. Well, actually,
it's Feyre. She's
yeah.
like, you can say what you need to in front of these people. If they're supposed to be our allies, we should be able to trust them.
Yeah. So I know. Feyre's now like, I'm not taking your bullshit.
Yeah, no.
I'm not rolling over and letting it happen.
Yeah.
Just say what you gotta say. And Anthy's all upset that the land around her temple is dying, and literally no one gives a shit.
Everyone is saying, oh, that sounds like a job for the gardeners.
Yeah.
Like, no one is taking her seriously.
Nobody
they
cares.
don't care.
No, they think it's a ruse, like the freaking solstice.
Yeah.
Like, they think that she...
Yeah. Well, I think that, Feyre thinks that. I don't know that anyone else knows that.
Yeah.
You know, aside from maybe Lucien.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else knows that it's all an act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. They all think it's cauldron blessed nonsense. Yeah. But yeah, no one cares. And then she talks about the threat of Rhysand coming to, like, settle this war about Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
And tries to join Tamlin push Tamlin to join their expedition out to the Second Wall to, like, protect Feyre.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, no.
I don't need protecting.
We are fine, thanks though. And
Lucian's
says, like,
got me.
This is something you promised, and like uses it against Tamlin and manipulates him to stay back. Yas, queen.
Yas.
It would ruin her plans too. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
So then they all leave, and by them I mean Lucien, Feyre, the twins, Jurian, some sentinels, and they have to go relatively slow because
too many people.
And
we learned earlier too that the only one of the twins can winnow.
The brother. Dagdan. He's the only one.
Yeah, so not everyone can winnow, which means they would have to, like, carry other people, which makes it take longer, and it's harder on their powers.
Yeah, and Feyre's while they're winnowing, not doing well.
Yeah,
She's got a really bad headache.
Yeah.
She's not feeling good. But they finally get there, and Feyre and Lucien share a tent. Mm-hmm. She ensures that they do. And they talk a little bit about the bargain made with the king, and Lucien sort of implies that, you know, if they were to fall through on their side of things, it could kill Tamlin, potentially. And even talks about how they, like, researched and looked into breaking the bargain with Rhys long ago, and how they were worried that would have some adverse consequence, whether it be taking Feyre's life or, like, Tamlin's.
Or Tamlin's,
it might kill Tamlin if they tried to do it.
Or anyone else that he cared about, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could take anyone.
Yeah. And then Lucien just drops that Tamlin freaking murdered all of the sentinels that were on duty when she was taken. Yeah. In front of everybody.
Them in front of everybody.
Yeah. Yep. He was merciless. I know. And
then they go to sleep.
Really? Yeah.
Like, they don't really talk all that much more after that.
No.
And the next morning, they're woken up by Jurian.
Mm-hmm.
And Feyre's all snuggled up Lucian.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Keeps
painting pictures.
Planting these seeds, man. And Bernard about this, Jurian makes some quip about them being snuggly up. And Bernard is like, I'd choose Baron's son too. There's fire in his blood. He acts like it and, bangs like it too.
Yep. I wrote in my notes after that, I said, LOL, everyone hates Tamlin. Everyone's like, man, I'd pick him too.
Lucian is definitely the better choice of the two. Everyone agrees. And then freaking there's some children of the blessed.
There's 3 of them.
3 of them.
Yep.
Right outside the hole.
There are.
And they're like happy and eager.
They're like, oh my god, we found you.
We
just want to come live on your land and...
Yeah. And Bernard and Dagdan are like trying to lure them.
Yeah. Feyre said that they were like looking at the children of the blessed like they were their next breakfast. Yeah. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. That'd be creepy. Why would the children be cool with that?
Well, and do all Fae just eat people?
I don't think so.
Is that a thing?
I don't feel like it's mentioned.
Are they not normal Fae? I don't know. Do they eat people? Was it like actually they're looking at them like their breakfast or just...
Seemingly. I mean, they also are from Hybern, who is convinced that people are nothing to them. They want to kill all the mortals or enslave them.
Okay, I also hate people, but that doesn't make me want to eat them.
Yeah, but you also don't want to kill them all or enslave them, you know?
Or do I?
Please don't. We got a lot of cool people, I guess. But yeah, they're trying to lure. Feyre's like, get the heck out of here, and gets into the children's minds.
Yeah. Well, and, the children said that they wanted to be... They'd come as tribute. And Jurian looks at Feyre like, oh my god, is that true? He's like kind of disgusted.
Yeah, he's shook that that's a thing.
But Lucian tells him that they don't, like, I don't know.
They don't take in the children of the blessed or whatever. That's
not a thing for them
participate
in Spring Court.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But, yeah, when Feyre goes in their mind, she shows them, like, the bog and the Midgard worm and the Ator, all of these terrible things. Claire, she gives them these horrible images, and, of course, they're terrified, and they run away scared, and Jurian thanks Feyre for having done that, like, quietly, on the side.
Yeah. Feyre also tells the twins, because they're still, like, kind of hawk-eyed on these children as they're running away. Feyre's like, if you hunt them down, I will end you.
I'll be pissed. Yeah.
She says, if you pursue them, you and I will have a problem. And then drags her talons down their shields for emphasis.
Yeah. She's like, don't mess with me, fools. I see that look in your eyes.
I will get you.
But later that night, everyone else has gone to bed, minus Jurian and... Feyre, or Lucian's off getting wood or something. But Jurian and Feyre start talking about the children of the blessed. And he seems, sympathetic to them and worried about the human cause. And Feyre says, you might be careful. You might stop sounding like Hybern's pet.
Yeah. And Jurian's like, is that really what you think I am?
Yeah. I mean...
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, what else did you expect? And he's like, well, I did all of this for Miriam, my love.
Yeah.
And want to get revenge on Dracon.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, well, I want to get revenge on Rhys.
Yeah.
She plays it off that way. But then Jurian tells a story. He's like, you forget that I
knew Rhys in the war. I fought alongside him.
And he brought in legions for us. And Jurian says that he was, of all the males, Rhys was the most decent of them all.
Yeah, because he was willing to sacrifice himself and his legion to save Miriam.
Yeah.
And no one else was.
I know. So Jurian knows him to be not evil.
Yeah, he says... everyone insists he is soulless, wicked, but the male I knew was the most decent of them all. The most powerful High Lord in the world lost his mate and has not yet come to claim her, even when she is defenseless in the woods. Perhaps that's because Rhys has not... What? has not lost you at all, but rather unleashed you upon us.
Yeah. So Jurian's also sus.
He knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, through all of these conversations that she has with Jurian, like, yes, we hate him, but I also kind of love him.
Yeah.
Because he knows what Feyre's up to and
sure.
doesn't tell anyone.
Doesn't say anything.
He lets her have her fun.
Yeah. I also feel like Jurian is so desperate for Miriam. Like, he's not necessarily wanting to be the King of Hybern's pet. He
just wants his love.
And the King of Hybern brought him back without Jurian asking, you know, and now he's indebted to him because he's alive again. But it's not something he would have chosen, I don't think. But then Lucien, later on, wakes, like, they all go to bed. Lucien wakes up Feyre in kind of a panic. And is like, you gotta get up, but be quiet about it.
I think he wakes her up with his hand on her mouth, like, shut up, bitch.
Yeah. That'd be a good way to wake up.
Ooh. I don't know about that.
And Feyre thinks about it. They smell blood.
Yeah.
They smell gore. Something's afoot.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, this is the first time that Lucien and I have, like, worked in tandem. Either we've protected each other or, you know, we just haven't worked together on something.
Yeah.
And they go out and find that the twins absolutely slaughtered and destroyed the children of the Blessed.
They sure did, and they did not bother to clean up their own mess.
Nope, and there's very little that remains.
Yeah.
There's just blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Feyre,
like a torso.
Describes, like, face and torso. Yeah, it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's
and
not
Feyre's
good.
pissed.
Oh, yeah. She's pissed.
I would be, too.
And she's like, should we bury him? And Lucian's like, well, that'll just show them that we'll clean up their mess. And so she's like, let's send a different message.
And then we just kind of flash forward to the next day.
Yeah, where they're back home.
Tamlin's pissed.
Yeah.
He's yelling at him. And he's like, Lucien, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to Feyre right now. And we learn that Feyre and Lucien hunted down the bog.
Yep.
And sent it after the twins.
Yes.
Yes.
I love this. We love the bog in this house.
We want a pet bog.
I'll kill you. I'll eat you. Maybe it's what it said. Devour you. So that's fun. We learned that, like, when they did send the bog, there was screams and fighting, but the twins ended up fine.
They're fine. Yeah. They're a little bloodied up and bruised, but they're fine.
Yeah. It was more, you know, a message than like a death threat.
And that's what she said. Relax. We'll send him a message.
Yeah, she didn't say I'm going to kill him.
Come on.
Relax. But Tamlin's pissed, obviously.
Yeah.
He's like, you jeopardized our bargain, you fools.
With your stupid stunt.
And Feyre's like, good, they can all freaking burn in hell. Like, I don't actually want to be a part of any of this. You brought this upon us.
Yeah, and Lucien actually, like, steps up and defends Feyre to Tamlin at this point, which I'm like, finally.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah. And she says, yeah, Lucien does stand up for her. And Feyre's also making sure that everyone in the house can hear what's going on.
Yeah.
Like all the sentinels and stuff. And she says, you might be willing to get on your knees for Hybern, but I certainly am not. And that sets good old Tampy over the edge.
It sure does.
What does he do?
Explodes in a rage.
He sure does.
Very similar to what happened in the
Yep.
the library or whatever before. But Feyre doesn't shield herself this time. She just lets it all.
She's like, yeah, injure me, you fucking prick. Do it. And
everyone's watching, buddy.
Yeah. And as soon as it happens, Lucien comes running in. He's like, what did you do?
What did you do? Yeah.
And she's cut on her face. She's bruised all over. She's a hot mess. And everyone in the manor sees it go down. And her injuries.
Yep.
And she, throughout this section, has been, like, thinking of moments and what they would be called as paintings. Which I almost went back through and grabbed all of them because they're fun.
Yeah.
But this one, she's like, the painting would be called A Portrait in Snares and Baiting. And I was like, yes, queen, you baited this shit out. She's, like, smart enough to know what's going to get reactions and, like, get her to where she wants to be.
Yeah.
In this court.
Yeah.
With this grand plan of hers.
And everyone in the manor saw what happened. And Bronn and Hart are brought back up again. Those are the same...
they were the ones who...
Same people who were with Lucien when he found her. Yeah. And they just have, like, looks of horror on their face. Lucien takes Feyre out.
Yeah.
And Tamlin just, like, lets Lucien shove him to the side. Which I'm like,
Because, of course, he's going to grovel and apologize.
5 minutes later,
Wants
he's going to
to.
be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry I
love
exploded
you.
and cut your face.
I didn't mean it.
I have a control on my temper, I swear.
I'm fine.
Everything's good.
Baby.
Baby. Shh, 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 shh. I don't gaslight ever.
Never. I would not even think about it.
Ugh. And then after all that happens, the Anaga attack.
Yeah, but before this, Reese checks on Feyre.
Oh shit! Oh
For
yeah,
the
he's
bond.
like, "You good?"
He's like, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm. She's like, "Yeah." I didn't write that part down, so I don't know what they say to each other.
Well, Reese is like, I want Tamlin dead for putting his hands on you.
Mm-hmm.
And Feyre's like, well, technically he put his magic on me, not his hands.
He's like,
and Reese is like, you smartass. And I think this is when the whole picture thing goes down.
Oh,
it is.
The tongue sticking out situation. Yeah. The selfies via mating bond.
This is not text messaging.
I know, it is very weird now that we talk about it.
And I have in my notes, what the hell is his tongue doing? I'm like, what? Feyre's not there, so it's not that.
I think it has to be.
It's gotta be.
My conclusion, right?
But is he just standing in the mirror looking at himself?
Yeah, because how do you see yourself in these memories? Right. I know. Or is there fruit involved?
Ooh, could be. Could be.
Nonetheless.
Anywho.
That goes down. And then the Nugget. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
What were you going to say?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm really stuck on the whole this isn't text messaging thing.
Yeah, that's... I didn't
He'd
think
have
about
to be
it.
Standing in a mirror with a piece of fruit, being weird.
Cass walks in like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Cassian wouldn't ask questions. He'd be like, oh.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Anyways.
More would judge him, though.
Yeah, for sure. Amryn?
Come on. Please. Amryn is the best. But anyways, the Naga then attack.
The Naga attack.
Yeah. And Ianthe saves them all.
Mm-hmm.
She,
Shocking.
banishes them. And we come to find... Well, okay. I won't jump ahead of myself. Tamlin... They find out the Naga had the key that was mentioned before that nobody ever talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And that there was a sentinel who, fell asleep on the job. And they got the key from him. And so Tamlin wants to punish this guy. He wants to make an example of him in front of everybody else.
Yanthe's, pushing him to do that, too.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, Tamlin.
Do it. And then what do we find out, Sarah?
Well, this whole situation.
I know.
So Feyre had a little hold on this guy's brain.
Mm-hmm.
And she releases a memory.
Yep.
Of Yanthe.
She sure does.
Lulling him to sleep with her powers. Maybe that's her power, putting people to sleep.
She is pretty freaking boring.
It is her only power.
She's insufferable.
She puts him to sleep and she steals the keys.
Yeah.
And she gives them to the Naga.
And she lets him in.
She planned this whole
thing. It was all
thing.
her. And when Feyre's like, hear him out. We gotta give him a chance to speak his side of the story. Mm-hmm. Yanthe's like, this is blasphemous. And pissed and...
20 lashes.
21, actually. For
20
the cauldron.
lashes and 1 extra for the cauldron's forgiveness.
And Tamlin goes back and forth for a second about it. And ultimately sides with Yanthe again. Chooses to believe her over his men.
Yeah.
And when he tells Bronn to, shackle him or whatever, he's very hesitant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very hesitant to do so, but Tamlin, in fact, goes ahead and freaking whips his sentinel.
Yep.
21 times.
Again, in front of everyone.
In front of everyone. And I have a quote.
Yeah.
Page 76.
Mm-hmm.
This is after, there's a couple, but I'm going to read the last one instead. But of course, at this point, all of the Sentinels are watching this happen. They're horrified by what's going down. And Feyre says, the sentries were sizing up Ianthe, the royals. Tamlin had always been one of them, fought for them until now, until Hybern, until he put those foreign monsters before them, until he put a scheming high priestess before them. Tamlin's eyes were on us, on the hand Lucian put on my arm to steady me as he drew back the whip. The thunderous crack as it cleaved the air snapped through the barracks, the estate, through the very foundation of the court. And I'm like, yes. Not for the whipping. That's terrible.
Yeah.
More because Feyre's breaking him at his core.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just fucking with him personally now. It's like destroying everything that is the Spring Court slowly.
Yeah, because all of these people who've had his back and were literally being sent over the wall to sacrifice themselves for him are now seeing that this is what they get for doing that for him.
Right.
This is their payment, their repayment.
He is now, rather than in alliance or, supporting his people, he's with Hybern and Ianthe.
Yeah.
That's his chosen ones. Yep. So, of course, their allegiance is shifting to Feyre.
Yeah.
And she, checks on the sentinel that was lashed, like took the lashings, and she's there as they heal him and patch him up and stuff to really like show that she's with the people.
Yeah.
And not at all happy with this alliance.
Yeah. The next day, they're getting ready to leave for the next spot in the wall. The next hole. Let's not talk about holes anymore.
We cannot get down that path.
And Alice comes and brings her a third bag. Feyre already has her bags packed, but Alice comes and brings her another one full of supplies. She's like, "You're gonna need this."
Yeah.
I think you need
How
this.
does Alice know?
I don't know.
Does she just assume?
She just knows.
She just knows. Well, I mean, she gives her the pack and tells Feyre that she's not going to be there when they get back. So she does know, but how does she know?
Yeah, Alice tells her
just assuming
that she's leaving. She says,
taking the boys.
That she says that when Feyre leaves tomorrow, Alice is leaving too. And she has her nephew's bags packed. And they're going to go back to summer.
She's ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm like, Alice, what's up?
It's interesting. I have a quote.
I hadn't really thought too deep into that, but now I'm like, why is Alice preparing her?
Right.
Ahead of things.
I don't know.
I wonder if she gleaned more than she let on about, Hybern commanders and stuff or something.
Maybe.
But anyway.
So then Feyre warns Alice. She's like, when you go back to Summer Court, don't tell anyone that you know me well, and she tells her about the blood rubies.
Mm-hmm.
And Alice is like, I'll always be your friend, blood ruby or no.
Yeah, you'll always have a friend in Summer Court. And Feyre, in return, is like, you'll always...
I'm literally talking about my quote right now.
Oh, you want to read it?
On page 79, Alice says, blood rubies or no, you'll always have one friend in Summer Court. And Feyre says, and you'll always have one in mine. And then it says, she knew which court I meant, did not look afraid. Mm-hmm. So obviously she knows that Feyre is still,
night court leaning. Night court person.
Subject.
Yeah. She's
groupie.
Involved. She wants the groupie.
She's a groupie.
Yeah, me too.
Me 3.
So they have that moment, and then Tamlin and Ianthe are going on this next expedition.
They are. They're coming along.
Coming with everybody. Feyre decides to share a tent with Ianthe to, save Lucian from her. Uh-huh. And to make up for their tension, in quotations. And while they're, laying together, Feyre's just sitting there considering slitting her throat. She has a knife under her pillow. Yeah. Thinking about murdering Ianthe, which, come on, just go for it. It's fine. No big deal. Nothing bad will come from that. But then...
Talk about an exercise in self-control, right?
Yeah, she's the worst. And, Feyre's very well trained at this point to take care of people.
Absolutely.
But then the good old twins are talking about the wall, and Feyre decides to hang out with them this time.
Yeah,
because they don't
she wants to know more. I feel like.
Yeah, she wants to hear what they're saying.
Yeah,
and they're debating which hole would be the best to strike with the cauldron.
We need to figure out a new name for these holes.
The gap.
There you go.
Great.
Which gap is better?
Yeah. And they're discussing it, this one's closer to the continent.
Yeah.
This one's closer to the island, Hybern, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Which would be better. And
when they talk about the first gap being closer to the manor at Spring Court, so they would have better access to supplies and whatnot.
They're debating it over.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I think you should choose this one because it's closer to the continent. Mm-hmm. So, like, they would have less time to intercept you on your journey. Or something.
We learn in this that the army that Hybern has is like 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Strong.
And that they have 3 allies on the continent. Valahan, Montessori, and Rask.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Rask have a cooler name?
I know.
They really
feels like a
dirty.
letdown.
But they talk about how, you know, though they're not coming, but their force, like the commanders that are there, their force is going to be joining up with, after they take Prythian. Their force is going to take Prythian and then join up with the continent people.
Yeah.
To take the continent, I'm assuming. And that's when we learn that the cauldron needs to, like, learn the magic of the gaps. Like, what caused them to be able to take down the wall.
Yeah. Which is wild to me. That the cauldron can learn things. Like, it's a sentient being.
It, like, talked to Feyre. That in the book, you know, it is. There's something weird and mysterious about it.
I know.
If it created everything, I'm sure it's got some sort of consciousness.
It's got to.
But anyway, Feyre's like, cool, I got what I needed.
I got what I need. I'm going to go now.
So bye. I'm done with you fools. And decides to leave. She, like, gets her packs. She gets freaking Tamlin's knives.
Where is Tamlin, by the way? I don't remember.
Getting lunch or something?
You know, he's out at Wendy's.
I don't know. Lunch. I think he's doing something.
Taco Bell, maybe.
He's at the drive-thru. He's getting some Mexican pizzas to bring back to the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. He's off doing something. Okay. Maybe hunting is it. I don't remember.
Cool.
Nonetheless, he's not there.
He is bye-bye.
And as she's making her way out, she's going through the forest, she hears Lucian and Anthe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She does.
Yeah, Feyre kind of lets us in a little bit on our plan before she finds him. But we can talk about it after. It's fine.
You can say what you want to say.
Well, Feyre just kind of like goes over her plan a little bit to herself, I guess. Feyre's gonna flee by herself is the plan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And her plan is that Tamlin and Yanthe are going to lie about where she went because they don't know where she went. So they're just going to tell people that she's, you know... AWOL. She'll be back in a day or two.
Right.
But then Feyre has a hold on some sentry's mind, or has, like, planted a memory of the Hybern prince and princess, like, brutalizing her. Mm-hmm. And Tamlin and Yanthe just sitting by and watching.
Yeah.
And the sentry is, like, witnessing all of this.
Right.
And so he's going to tell people about it after she releases her
hold on
his brain.
Yeah, and really just plans to turn the entire court against Hybern and Yanthe and Tamlin. But yeah, as she's then leaving, she hears the two. Yanthe's, you know, preying on Lucian. Mm-hmm. She has him in chains, the magical immobilizing ones.
The blue ones.
The blue ones that were on freaking Reese when he got shot down. Mm-hmm. And Feyre comes into the clearing and gets up into Yanthe's mind hard. She Daemodis the shit out of that
Absolutely.
Bitch. And it's amazing, and I have a quote and I want to read it to you.
Okay.
It's on page 87.
I have that one too.
It's solid. After she, you know, gets her away from Lucian, etc., she says, and I said to her very clearly, you will never touch another person against their will. You will never convince yourself that they truly want your advances, that they're playing games. You will never know another's touch unless they initiate, unless it's desired by both sides. You will not remember... I forgot to preface with, she's having Yanthe bludgeon her own hand with a rock as she's doing this. There's a thwack, crack, thud in the middle of this quote. You will not remember what happened here. You will tell the others you fell. Her ring finger had shifted in the wrong direction. You are allowed to see a healer to set the bones, but not to erase the scarring. And every time you look at that hand, you are going to remember that touching people against their will has consequences. And if you do it again, everything you are will cease to exist. You will live with that terror every day and never know where it originates. Only the fear of someone or something chasing you, hunting you, waiting for you the instant you let your guard down.
God,
and I'm like, her. I know. At this point, I'm like, yes,
so
she's
much.
such a badass. She's coming into like her power. And I feel like, you know, knowing that she's High Lady of the Night Court, like she is laying down the law.
Yeah.
And this is such a freaking power move. One,
absolutely,
she's got a hold on Ianthe for the rest of her life, just by saying these things, and like making them true in Ianthe's brain. And she stopped the preying on Lucian and in future males. Like it's huge. Yeah, she did a big thing here, and I was like, fuck yeah, Feyre.
Yeah. And after this moment, she just kind of looks at Lucian and is like, yeah, I'm a whatever the word is.
Or no, she is about to, and then freaking the twins show up, and they say the word you're looking for is Daemati. Like, he's about to ask if, like, are you... Like, he's confused about what just happened.
Yeah.
But then the twins come. Blow her Daemati cover, even though she'd already did.
Yeah.
And this is wild.
It is.
This is a whole thing.
They're like, bitch, you thought you were smart?
Uh-huh.
We've been scheming, too.
And we've been Daemati for 1,000 years. Yeah. Casually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're immortal.
Yeah. That's the drop in the bucket. But but yeah, they're like, oh, you thought you were the only one scheming.
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
Hilarious.
Little girl.
Yeah, you're new to this game. You're a baby fae. Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Which truly. Like, I do respect all of the moves Feyre has been making, but also these commanders are ancient and have been playing the war game for 1,000 more years. You know what I mean? Like, they knew what was up the entire freaking time.
Yeah. Which is kind of like, man, disappointing.
I know, shit.
Because I really thought she was being smart.
I know, me too. She was.
She was, for sure.
She just maybe didn't consider, like...
all of the avenues.
Yeah, that and how much they were paying attention and, you know.
Yeah.
And also consider the fact that they've been through multiple wars and, like, you know, whatever. Yeah. Nonetheless. They've been poisoning everybody.
They have indeed. Yeah.
We find out.
They've been, like... grinding up Faebane into all of the food that they've been giving.
Yeah, Ianthe's been poisoning them.
Oh yeah, it was Ianthe.
Yeah.
They were giving Ianthe ground up Faebane to put in everyone's food.
Which is why Feyre's magic has felt dull.
Yeah,
the headaches. The bond, it being weak, etc. And they were like, oh, and by the way, the apple you ate came directly from the king's garden, where it was watered with Faebane.
Yep.
And you're going to lose your powers for several days.
Yeah. Good luck!
That's happening soon.
You thought you were going to disappear? Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
They also say, like, sorry to tell you, we didn't even have to, like, go into Ianthe's mind to convince her to do this.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
She just did it willingly.
Freaking
not surprising.
No, not at all. But of course she was like palling up with them, these freaky folk. But then Feyre's a badass.
She is. Lucian tries to tell her to leave.
Yeah, he wants to like lay down his life for her.
Yeah, he's like, I'll sacrifice myself for you.
You saved me from Ianthe's.
And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I can't leave you, Lulu.
Can't leave him.
L-Dog.
And starts this like winnowing battle with Dagdan. She knows she has a limited time with her power.
She's also stabbing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's like also getting moves in.
Yeah, he is.
They're
I just like I can't comprehend how I could be stabbed in my gut and still just like punching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's intense. Their battle is intense. And
I guess they're Fae. They heal fast.
Yeah.
So.
But the fact that she can hold her own against Dagdan, one, is impressive to Lucian. They, like, end up talking about it later. But they fight, and she's impressed with herself. She's like, the training's really paying off.
Yeah.
And she ends up killing Dagdan.
Well, yeah. No. Yeah. She does, eventually. But before that, she, during all of this, like, winnow fighting, throws a wall of fire at the sister.
Oh, yeah, to distract him. That's right.
And then Lucian
chops her head
decapitates her. And then while Dagdan is, like, distracted by that, Feyre punches a knife through his eyeball into his skull.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
They didn't give him a nice death.
No.
By any means.
I mean, they didn't deserve one.
No.
It's fine.
No. But yeah, they just brutally murder the twins.
Yeah.
And Yanthe's just sitting there like, oh shit.
Yeah. I, like, reading all of this, kind of forgot that Yanthe was even there. So then when Faye returns and talks to her and is like, you tell everybody that they attacked me and I killed them out of self-defense. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, Yanthe's here.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, there's a spectator.
Yeah.
She's just like on her knees watching this go down. Brain absolutely fried by Feyre.
Is she still hitting herself with the rock?
I think she stopped at this point, but her hand is messed up. It's this is fun. Keep going. And then Lucien decides that he's gonna go with Feyre.
He does. He knows she's going back to Night Court.
He's like, I'm coming with you.
He's like, I'm coming with you.
And she's like, nah. And he's like, nah, I'm going. I'm gonna find my mate, or like get my mate back. Is what he says.
And then Feyre's like, all right, well, don't make me regret this, buddy.
Yep.
And they take off.
And they go through a door that will lead them to the Autumn Court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're magic. They, like, winnowed for a little bit.
But it's out.
And they made it to the foothills, is what it said, but...
Don't know where that is.
Now they're out of magic.
Yeah.
So they gotta go somewhere.
They gotta journey on foot. She's like, wow, I don't know how I freaking survived as a mortal. But... They talk a little bit about it, like, Lucien's like, oh, this was your plan all along, and what, were you gonna let me fall with the court, and all of this stuff, and she's like, dude, it was either let the Spring Court fall to Hybern, or, like, we occupy it, and the other courts would rally against us if we had taken the Spring Court, so for Hybern to be the common enemy was the better choice.
Yeah.
And he says, that girl I knew really did die under the mountain. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I've been telling you, fool. It's no secret. And then we head into part 2 of ACOWAR.
Yeah.
And they emerge. Oh, go ahead. Was there more?
When they went into the Autumn Court cave entrance, or the door, I guess, which is a cave.
Yeah, yeah. A tunnel.
Lucien's like, there's no sentries here.
Oh, yeah.
So... That morning, Feyre got into the brains of the sentries and, like, made sure that they weren't going to be on duty when she needed to be going there, which wasn't her original plan. Right. She was just going to, like, winnow all the way to the Night Court. Right. But because her magic was gone, she mentions, like, Cassian always trained me to have a second option. Exit. Yeah. Smart. I just loved that.
Smart girl. I know.
So once she's actually doing what people are telling her.
Look at her learning. But then they emerge in crisp, cold Autumn Court. And let me tell y'all, I really think I'd love Autumn Court.
Same.
I think I want to be there.
Me too.
Like, Night Court, yeah, obviously. But, like, if any others, Autumn Court for sure.
Absolutely.
Autumn is my favorite freaking time of year. And if it's just that perpetually, please.
Same.
Give it to me.
Yeah, my top choice would be Night Court, obviously. Second choice would be Autumn. Mm-hmm. Third choice, I hate to say it, but it would have to be Spring.
Yeah.
If Tamlin wasn't there.
Yeah.
If Tamlin's there, it's bottom of the bucket, but...
Summer sounds nice, too.
I don't like summer very much.
I know, but the ocean...
It's too hot.
The hills... It sounds nice.
It sounds hot.
All right, fine. Forget it.
It sounds hot and sunburny.
Yeah, you're right. We're
just
really
a
pale.
Constant sunburn.
We're ghosts. We shouldn't be in the sun.
Yeah, no. I would be a constant tomato.
Yeah, me too. Anywho. They get there, and then they go to a cave that Lucien used to use.
Yeah. And all of his supplies are still there.
Yeah.
He used to, like, use it when he was hunting.
Yeah, and he used it on his way out, too.
Yeah.
When he left the court.
Yeah.
But they go in there, and Lucien, I guess this is when he asks, like, what her plan was for him and Tamlin. Mm-hmm. And he also says that, you know, he knew, but he didn't tell Tamlin because, one, it felt like kicking a man while he was down, which, like, you gotta stop babying Tamlin. This is why he freaking continues on his stupid shit. Yeah. Stop acting like he's, you know, God's gift to the earth and fucking tell him the truth.
For real.
That's annoying.
And his second reason also pisses me off.
I know.
I'm like, buddy, you couldn't just do one thing, like, for Feyre?
Yeah, never.
It's all selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. His second reason for not telling her is that he knew that she would make sure to find a way that he wouldn't ever see Elaine again.
Yeah, she'd keep Elaine from him.
Yeah.
All about Lulu.
All about Lulu. Piss me off.
I know. I wrote that down because I was like, you're an idiot. Stop. He needs to grow up, too. Everyone needs to grow the freak up. Feyre's doing it. But then they have to travel north, and Lucian's like, we got to go around the Autumn Court. And she's like, nope, we're going through it.
Yeah, she's like, we can't go this way because it'll bring me too close to Summer Court, and we can't go the other way because it'll take too long. I want to go home.
Yeah, I miss my mate, and we are in dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Autumn Court is dangerous for Lucian and her at this point, and Summer Court's near, certain death.
Yeah, for sure.
And they pass the forest house, like the fortress.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Lucian tells Feyre that his father will kill her if he finds out that she has any of his powers to get his powers back.
Yeah.
Which
we've hinted at before.
Really comforting.
I know, it's nice.
When we're in
It sounds fun.
Court.
Yeah. Let's play a game of hide and seek. But they But they're passing, Baron's manor or whatever, and it's a forest house, which again was like, man, I want to live in the Autumn Court.
Yeah,
it sounded cool, but it's also very heavily guarded. There's guards in the trees and everywhere. They're just all over the dang place.
I'm trying not to make noise, but I need water.
That's okay. I understand. But Lucian is able to keep them unseen. Like, he gets them through, at least they think, he gets them through all these different passages that he doesn't think anyone will notice. And he even goes on to say, we have to stay out of view from, like, the farmers because they'll rat me out.
Yeah, because the farmers aren't paid well, so they'll, like, do anything for a little bit of extra money.
Anything for money.
Man.
And long ago, we know that Lucian lost a lover, and she was, like, a farmer. Yeah. And so they're pissed about it. Jasminda. Jasminda? I don't know, sure. But when she died, they shut him out. Yeah. Like, they ostracized or cast him aside.
Yeah.
But then they go into a new cave.
They do. And they go to sleep.
And Feyre goes into Lucian's mind a little.
Oh. Does she?
Yeah. They go to sleep and she, like, it's dreaming, but also sees through Lucian's mind. Like, sees that he puts his cloak over her.
Oh, that's right.
Sees, him sort of taking care of her. But then
Lucian also thanks Feyre for having his back with Yanthe.
Yeah.
In this cave.
Yeah.
It was sweet.
It is.
And again, Feyre being a better friend to him than he ever was to her.
Ever. Freaking Lucian. But then they wake up.
They do. Feyre wakes up to hand on her face. I guess this is when she wakes up to a hand on her face.
Yeah, well, twice now. Lucian also did it.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
Or was I making that up?
No, he did it to keep her quiet. So they could scope out the land.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, this time it's his brothers.
Yeah, friggin' Eris.
Eris!
That's the only one we know by name.
Yeah. I know. she doesn't bother. Shane's like, the other ones don't matter.
The other brothers and Eris. And the other two.
Right. Which Eris is, we learned, the guy who left Mor for dead.
Mor, yeah.
They were supposed to have been married. I know. Eris and his brothers are there. They talk to Lucian and Feyre and say that the rumor is that they ran off together. Because that's sort of how it was planted, Feyre. Yeah. You made it seem like you two were lovers.
Absolutely,
So when you left together, that's the conclusion that would be drawn, for sure.
Which wasn't her original plan.
No.
But, I mean, it worked out for her.
Yeah. But, that's the rumor. And they say that Baron wants to see him.
Yeah. They're
he wants to see him.
Our father is rather put out that you didn't stop by to say hello. And Lucian's like, well, we're in a hurry. We gotta go.
We're on an errand.
We don't have time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Leave us alone, suckers.
Bye.
And they both know, Feyre and Lucian both know, that as soon as she stepped foot near Baron, he would sense his power in her.
Absolutely,
So Feyre throws up a freaking flame wall.
She does. She, throws up a flame wall to trap them in the cave, and then Lucian pulls some, weird shit and punches the wall a bunch, or the roof a bunch, until it caves in.
Yeah.
And then they just leave.
Yeah.
They're like, we gotta go.
We gotta get the hell out of here.
And they leave all of their supplies.
All of their supplies. They only have a couple daggers, one cloak. They don't have much to their name.
They don't have much at all.
And so they leave.
And it's cold, y'all.
It's cold as shit.
Yeah.
Especially as they cross into the Winter Court border.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say... Maybe we're not quite there yet, I guess.
No.
There's a little bit of a conversation first, and then I'll say what I was going to say. But they're freezing. They're like scaling snowy mountains, it sounds like.
Yeah, Feyre says if she was still human, she would most certainly be dead.
Absolutely. They find a cave and have to like huddle together for warmth.
Yeah, because they don't have any fire. And I feel like even if they had wood for a fire, like, is it smart to light a fire when you're being hunted?
Probably not. No, not at all. Feyre tells Lucian a little bit more about Elaine and that she's engaged to a Fae-hating mortal man. Mm-hmm. And he is upset by that fact.
He is.
But goes on to say that he's, like, going to ask Rhys how he dealt with his mate being with another man. Mm-hmm. And then they have a little bit of a pissing fit again about how, like, Feyre left them. He says us, specifically. Yeah. You left us. And Feyre's like, dude, you abandoned me before that.
Do we have to keep having this conversation?
Yeah, truly.
Really?
That debate happens over and over again. But then they survive the night. They wake up.
They do. Yeah.
And they make it over the border into the Winter Court.
They make it into Winter Court and see this, like, great expanse.
Frozen lake.
Yeah, it's a frozen lake, but they're not close to it yet.
They got a lot to go through.
They got some distance to travel, but then she says that, like, never mind. Not important. I'm getting too detailed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, though, back to my comment.
Yeah.
The way that they describe the Winter Court is like some weird feral North Pole. Like, there's fucking reindeer and sleds and polar bears that
obviously.
Attack. And, you know, it's just, they're headed into Evil Santa's lair. Callias or whatever.
Evil Santa.
That's the vibe it gave me.
Yeah, I can see that. Where are the penguins? Come on.
Right.
I want the murdering penguins.
Murdering penguins. And then they start crossing a frozen lake, like a huge one.
Yeah.
They're only like 100 feet into it, and it's going to take them days probably to cross it. And they're talking about, you know, how they're going to find shelter on the lake and etc.
Yeah, there's like nothing. There's nothing for them to hide in. Solutions like, well, we can melt some ice and
dig it up
until it's, you know, soft enough to
form into a shelter. Which I'm like, I can't imagine that.
How do you build things with... It would melt.
Yeah. What are you making with water?
What are you trying to make with slush? I don't feel like you can build an igloo with slush. No. Also, that would take a really long time.
It sure would.
And be very obvious also.
Yeah. Visible.
People would be like, that's an igloo.
Yeah.
Wonder who's in it. Probably Feyre.
Weird. Must be a polar bear. But you know what? It doesn't matter. They don't even get the freaking chance.
They don't.
Because who shows up?
All the brothers. And
Mr. Eris has his flaming hands.
He does.
And he's
prepared
to
melt that lake.
Melt that lake.
Melt that lake. I'm really glad we were on the same page for that.
Same. It was beautiful.
So dumb.
What's new? But Eris starts melting it, obviously. Feyre's like trying to use her ice magic to keep it frozen.
Yeah, and she's doing a pretty good job.
She's doing all right.
I think that, like, whichever court she's in kind of sparks her magic back to life for that court.
Yeah.
But once she crosses borders, like, she won't be able to use her ice again until her powers come back.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Because she was able to do something else in
the fire
in Autumn Court, and now she's able to shoot a bunch of ice out of her hands.
I think her powers are just coming back slowly, but yeah, I mean they're probably amplified in the courts that they're related to.
Yeah, yes, exactly, because she still can't winnow.
Yeah,
but she can shoot ice out of her hands. Excuse me. So it's like magnified for sure.
So she's patching up, and then freaking Eris winnows over to her.
Yep,
with his brothers. And while freaking Feyre's dealing with Eris, Lucian's dealing with the other two. And Eris gets her in, like, bounds. He bounds her up and puts a gag in her mouth. But they're like flames.
Yeah.
A flame gag.
Yeah. But she says it doesn't burn. But she knows that it would if she, struggled or whatever.
He'd make it
He would make it, yeah.
Yeah. And then, dude. Dude.
I know.
I straight up, even though I've read this book before, immediately was like overcome with joy and goosebumps and just everything.
Yeah.
Cassian.
Yeah.
Cassian as.
He comes.
Cassian comes slamming down in the earth.
I know.
The way that it's described too, I'm like, back to that weird fucking giddy noise. But he comes slamming into the earth. Or into the leg. He comes down. Az comes down. I know. I have hearts all by that part.
I know.
Because it's filled me with so much joy.
I know. And he's like, the first words out of his mouth are, I suggest you drop my high lady. Like,
my lady. Yeah, I don't think he says hi lady yet. He doesn't reveal her.
Hi lady.
I'm pretty sure I wrote it down as lady.
I don't know.
My lady, but
he
nonetheless.
does only say lady. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. He's like, freaking drop it. There's sentries on the shore that winnowed out of nowhere from the Autumn Court.
Yeah.
They're like shooting arrows.
Yeah.
It's a whole mess.
Everyone's fighting.
Feyre starts sobbing at the sight of Cassian and Az. Like, they finally came for me. Because she's been trying to communicate with Rhys down the bond, but because of her magic being gone, like, hasn't been able to get a hold of him.
We forgot to mention, too, that Feyre got shot in the arm with an arrow, like, straight through her forearm.
While
so
they're
she
running.
Ripped it out and realized that she was healing fast, which means that her powers are coming back.
They are. Yeah, when Eris was melting the ice, Lucian and Feyre had to, like, weave and dodge both the melting ice and these, like, raining arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, Cassian's here.
Blast.
Cassian's freaking here. Az is here. Feyre, after Cassian's like, I suggest you drop my high lady, remembers her training and, like, gets out of Eris's grip.
Beats him up a little bit. She, like, kicks him so that he's bent over her and punches him in the face.
I think she kicks him in the dick.
I think so, yeah.
He, like, keels over.
It said that she kicked him between the legs, so, yeah.
right in.
And then, you know, punches him in the face while he's already a down man.
Yeah, that's a bummer, dude. But also, fuck you,
poor
Eris.
baby.
Gets out of his grip and, like, Cassian immediately comes over and takes him on. He starts fighting. They're fighting. Az is fighting the other two brothers with Lucian. And Cassian fucking stabs him right in the gut.
Right in the gut.
Right in the
gut.
gut.
With his big old Illyrian blade.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
I know.
I know.
This is how long it took me to get into this section.
I know, same. And the physical reaction that I had at this point, like, literally got chills. Like, I got so elated. It's the best. And I'm
so happy.
I know. And after Cassian stabs him, you know, Feyre is like, stop.
Everyone stop.
Everyone cut it out. And both Az and Cass, like, without question, drop their arms. They're at her will.
Yeah.
They are her
she
soldiers.
realizes that, you know, if they kill Lucian's brothers, then they're going to have even more problems than they already have.
Yeah. It will most certainly make it so the Autumn Court is going to war with the Night Court.
Why would the Autumn Court ally with Night Court after
they killed the sons?
Yeah.
Especially Eris, because I assume he's the heir.
Well, yeah, and I feel like he is absolutely Daddy's favorite.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
He clearly has...
He's brown nosing.
Yeah.
His nose is right up that ass. And Baron takes it all. Anyways.
Baron really takes that nose right up his ass.
But there's a quote I want to read to you.
Okay.
It's after Feyre calls him off.
Okay.
Because this was so powerful, and I felt like Feyre was just coming into her new status.
Okay.
She remembered that she's fucking High Lord, or High Lady, I should say. She...
Are you, by chance, on page 124?
123.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm interested what you wanted to talk, or what quote you had. It's kind of a long one, but she has called them off, and Eris, like, curls his lip, and Cassian snarls his warning, and it says, I only removed the glamour I'd kept on myself these weeks. With the sleeve of my jacket and shirt gone, there was nothing but smooth skin where that wound had been. Smooth skin that now became adorned with swirls and whorls of ink. The markings are my new title and my mating bond. Lucian's face drained of color as he stood before us, stopping a healthy distance from Azriel's side. I am High Lady of the Night Court, I said quietly to them all. Even Eris stopped sneering. His amber eyes widened, something like fear now creeping into them. There's no such thing as High Lady.
Ugh.
One of Lucian's brothers spat. A faint smile played on my mouth. There is now. and it was time for the world to know it. I caught Cassian's gaze, finding pride glimmering there and relief. Take me home, I ordered him. And this is... I have chills just reading that now.
Me too.
But I was very much like, yes! Like, she's finally coming into her power and her reign. She knows she has power now that can scare Aerys, like, and is just living in it. And Az and Cass are like proud little freaking dads.
I know.
I'm obsessed with this.
My quote kind of plays right off of yours.
Okay.
You ended with, take me home. And then she says, take us both home, talking about her and Lucien. And then she tells the brothers, we'll see you on the battlefield. But then they take off. Cassian has Feyre, and Az has Lucien. I keep forgetting his name. L-Dog. And they joke a little bit about Lucien and Asriel. Cassian says, I don't know who looks more uncomfortable, Az or Lucien. They talk about Lucien's family name for a little bit. And then Cassian just smiles and says, hello, Feyre.
I know.
And I'm just going to read this whole thing. Cassian's smile softened. Hello, Feyre. My throat tightened to the point of pain, and I threw my arms around his neck, embracing him tightly. I missed you too, Cassian murmured, squeezing me.
Reunited and it feels so good. But this isn't even the reunion that is the best.
I know. I just love Cassian so much. Me too.
I love all of them. Every last one of the Night Court. I'm obsessed with them all.
I am a little extra obsessed with Cassian, though.
Cassian is
aside from Rhys,
he's
obviously.
Like a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Who's a badass at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they fly off. They land in Moors there. And Feyre immediately runs to her and hugs her. You know, she's happy to see them all. And Moore tells her that Rhys is far away. It's a long story, but he's on his way. He heard her through the bond and sent them because they were closest.
They were closest, yeah. And Moore apologizes for not being there, but she couldn't, like, make herself go face-to-face with Aerys.
Yeah, and she does ask about him because she smells his blood. And they're like, he's alive. And then Moore says, you know, someone's waiting at the townhouse for you. We gotta go. Well, Feyre asks, like, which home are we going to? And Moore's like, the townhouse. There's someone waiting for you. And
which I assumed was Rhys.
Yeah. But it is.
I don't feel like it is, though, because she has a whole, like, conversation with Amren before Rhys shows up.
He must, yeah. I don't know if he just then shows up or he was waiting in the house. I don't know.
I don't know why he wouldn't immediately go to her,
I don't know. His entrance is chef's kiss, though.
I know. I know.
But Lucien is uncomfortable as fuck.
Well, yeah. I would be, too.
Same. He's
These
like,
people, you know.
And it's not what he expects at all.
Yeah, he has lived his whole life thinking these people were terrible, horrible,
and they're
awful people, and they're not.
Embracing Feyre.
Yeah, and accepting him, even.
Yeah.
Like, they're letting him into their
so far
city.
I know. But they get to the townhouse, and Lucien is obviously in shock about the city, because he can sort of see things. It's a house. It's not like a dungeon. And he is afraid of Amren.
Oh, yeah.
Amren comes out, and he's like, holy shit. Like, this is someone they talked about as, like, threats as a kid to, like, do the right thing. Amren. So he's a little afraid, and he, like, bows to her or something.
Yeah, he bows.
And Amren's like, dude, relax.
The first words, though, so Lucien, like, surveys the townhouse a little bit, and the first words out of his mouth are, there are children laughing in the street. Like, that just shows it was not at all what he expected.
No.
And then Amren walks in, and he's like, oh, shit.
Even though it's, like, a very informal, they're in a townhouse. They're not, like, in a castle.
Right. And Amren says, I see you brought home a new pet.
I love Amren.
I know.
My goodness.
And everyone kind of laughs at him when he bows to her.
Yeah, they're like really... I think Cass or Az, or maybe Cass probably, said something like, don't do that. Like, you're going to give her a big head or something to that effect. Yeah. But then Lucien asks Feyre, like, so you're High Lady of the Night Court. And in response, Rhys says, she is indeed. I know. And of course, that stops her cold in her tracks.
Of course.
And
she crumples a little bit.
She falls to the ground, like, sobbing. And he comes and kneels in front of her, kneels before her. They have this embrace and kiss. They don't care who's watching. They just have this moment of, mates reuniting, and it's, I just...
I know. I was going to read this, but it's really long, so I'm just going to...
Swoon. And then Reese is like, everyone get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, everyone, you gotta go.
I need my mate immediately. Get out of here. So he sends them all away, and Moore, I think, grabs Lucian like, yeah, you really don't want to be here for this.
You gotta go, buddy.
And so they head out, and Reese takes her up to their room.
Feyre's like, do you want to go over what happened in Spring Court? And Reese is like, nah.
Later. We don't have time for that.
Even though they do other things that
They do end up debriefing a lot, though.
They do.
Yeah. She tells him essentially what happened since she lost her magic. Mm-hmm. And they're both just taking each other in
there was a really confusing moment in this for me.
Okay.
Where Reese tells her that, like, as soon as he felt the bond go dark, he left and went searching for her in Spring Court. Mm-hmm. And all he could find was Tamlin just raging.
Yeah.
But then he just went to the human lands to survey. I'm like, I cannot imagine Reese just being like, oh, well, I can't find her. Oh, well.
I think he was in the human lands and went to the Spring Court and maybe is coming from the Spring Court.
I don't think so. Because later he says that he was in the...
Yeah, he was, but maybe he was there before he went to the Spring Court.
But was he in Spring Court for days searching for her? That doesn't make sense to me.
It probably took days from the continent to get to the Spring Court or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was clarified. I'm just speculating.
Okay.
I don't know where he came from to get to the townhouse.
I was just confused.
But I thought it was... Yeah, that is a little confusing. He definitely wouldn't just leave, not having found Feyre.
That's what I'm saying.
Although if she's not there, he's probably then scouring the rest of the earth between wherever he can find, I don't know, looking for her.
Yeah.
In any case...
Yeah, because later Feyre is pushing him like, where were you? Where were you? And he tells her that he was in the human lands. And that's why he wasn't there immediately when she got back. Or why he couldn't be the one to go rescue her.
Yeah, I think he says when the bond went dark, like, he was worried, but also didn't know if it was part of her plan. Like, he didn't know if it was something she planned on doing. So maybe he didn't want to interfere until he, like, had a clearer idea of what was actually going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, they're having this reconnection. They sort of debrief each other a little bit, and they're taking each other in. They're both just, like, really wanting to get at it. And Reese is like, you declared yourself High Lady. And she's like, was I not supposed to? And he's like, dude, I've been wanting to scream it from the rooftops. Like, he's so excited that she finally is able to come out with it. Yeah,
and he says something jokingly about, like, so like you to steal my special moment.
Yeah. And she's like, always the dramatic. He says he's been spying on the queens, that they're quiet, too quiet, it's suspicious. And then... We
also learn that Tamlin's, like, Feyre's plan worked. All of Tamlin's sentries have abandoned him.
Yeah.
No one showed up for the tithing.
Yeah. And Hybern's taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are leaving to other courts. There's murmurs of rebellion. Mm-hmm. And Jurian is back with Hybern.
Yep. And then Reese makes her bathe because she's covered in gross stuff. And sits back and watches.
He says, though, you have two choices. I can either lick you clean or you can take a bath.
Yeah. And she's like, ew. Takes a bath and really plays it out, you know? Really gets him going with it.
Certainly would have let him lick me clean, though.
Don't mind if you do. I don't know what I'm saying. But have at it, good Reese. Although you're licking up blood and shit.
Yeah, that's true. Gross.
And after all that, you know, they start to get busy. And Feyre says, you're mine. And they just ravish each other. They go to freaking Flavor Town.
I have in my notes, Feyre takes a bath and they do the nasty. For like 6 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good amount of smut. Yeah. Chapter 14 if you're interested. But if you haven't read it.
Do it, I dare you.
But then there's a quote on 142 after it's all said and done. And Reese says, I missed you every second, every breath, not just this. shifting his hips for emphasis. But talking to you, laughing with you, I missed having you in my bed, but missed having you as my friend more. And she goes, I know, never again. Like, we're never going to be separated again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they're back.
I know.
They're back.
I just started getting into this, and
then we had to stop. But, yeah. And then everyone comes back. After they got their banging sash out the way.
Yeah.
Everyone's back. The inner circle with Lucian in tow. And Rhys makes it very clear to Lucian that, like, Feyre was not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, they never did anything before she left Tamlin.
Yeah. There's a moment that I just want to talk about because I thought it was funny. When Feyre first sees Lucian, she realizes that he's still in his clothes.
Yeah.
His same dirty clothes. And she's like, oh shit, I should have offered him, like, I shoulda. Mm-hmm. And then Rhys walks in the room and she's like, oh, I forgot all about it.
Who cares about Lucian when Rhys is here?
Who's Lucian?
Honestly.
I know.
Who's L-Dog? Don't know the name.
But red hair? I haven't seen him.
Yeah, but in the moment of Rhys, like, making sure Lucian knows that nothing nefarious was afoot, he also was like, I would have let her marry Tamlin, like, I swear, if she were happy, that's all I wanted. And it is threatening. He's like, but don't ever fucking forget, or, like, I will never forget the sorrow I felt through her, like, the despair.
Yeah, and I think
threatening.
In telling him all of this, first, the reason he's lecturing Lucian is because Feyre is now wearing his mother's ring.
Oh, yeah.
And Lucian, like, makes a gross face at it. And so then Rhys is like, don't ever do that again. But he's also telling him this because of what's going on with Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like these are the things I did. And so you should probably do the same thing because you don't want to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And
she had to find her love for me on her own.
You're not going to force Elaine to love you.
Yeah.
Like Tamlin tried to do with Feyre.
Right. Yeah. I love Rhys. And yeah, they have their whole exchange. And then Feyre is going to go up to the House Wind to see her sisters. That's where they're staying.
Yes. And she invites Lucian to go with her.
She invites Lucian to come. And when they get up there, she, like, has the Bat Boys, stay behind while she goes and chats with Lucian alone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, this isn't what I was expecting. And she's like, oh, yeah, they're rebuilding the city, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, that's not what I meant. Like, I wasn't expecting the inner circle. I wasn't expecting how you all interact.
Yeah.
And, like, this whole vibe is not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And then she has Rhys and Cassian and Az come out, and they tell him everything. Mm-hmm. As much as is safe to tell him, I suppose. Right. Not like the nitty-gritty, but they give him the rundown of what's happened since Feyre left. And he's like, well, shit. Yeah. And I wouldn't have believed it had I not seen all of this.
Right.
And so then she has Lucian wait while she goes to find her sisters.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And Nesta is devastatingly beautiful.
She is.
Like,
and the whole whatever is going on between Nesta and Cassian.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I know.
There's something there.
Yeah, there's something up.
I know.
Nesta is pissed and brooding. Oh. She's in silence in the library reading and is, like, inconvenienced with their presence.
Yeah. For once, though, I honestly don't blame her.
No.
I'm like, girl has been through it.
Yeah, she sure has.
And feels like it's these people's fault.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones that brought her into it.
Yeah.
And involved her in the first place.
Yep. Well, yeah.
I mean, they don't know about Yancey.
Right. But she's angry, but she's not as upset about herself as she is about Elaine, because Elaine's destroyed. Yeah. Like, she warns them that Elaine is not okay. She's not eating. She's not talking to anyone. She won't leave her room.
She won't stop crying.
And she's pissed at Cassie, and she's, like, very curt and mean
to
Cassian.
She is extra rude to Cassian.
Yeah. They have this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know if I can talk about that on this podcast. Maybe later.
Okay. And then they go to find Elaine, who is silent, but it's, like, empty and there's nothing there. Elaine is an empty shell of a person.
She is a void.
And she says, I want to go home. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing she'll say. And that she's supposed to be married in a week.
Yeah.
To her betrothed.
Yeah. And Feyre's just kind of like, well, I guess I'll leave you alone.
Well, Feyre's cracking in half.
Well,
she's
she's like, I'm going to go so I can sobbing.
Yeah, she's just heartbroken by how broken Elaine is. Yeah. And then she turns around and fucking L-Dog's in the door.
Yeah, he's just listening.
And he heard everything.
Which, buddy.
Yeah.
Feyre asked you to do one thing.
Yeah.
He can't even freaking listen.
Come on, Lucien.
I love him, but...
Damn, Lucien. I know, that was a bad move. Although, I wonder if, like, you know, he couldn't... It's the mating bond calling to
maybe he couldn't help it.
Yeah. Mating sounds intense.
It does.
So, maybe that's part of it. But he heard all of that and is devastated.
Yeah.
But then Rhys puts him up in, like, a different wing of the house.
Yeah, which...
Lucien couldn't stay away.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Why did they not go back to the townhouse with Lucien?
Yeah.
Bring Lucien back to the townhouse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Keep him away from Elaine.
Maybe because the townhouse is, like, for family and Lucien is this weird outsider.
I guess, but, like...
But you shouldn't have him
You can make an exception one time.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of, like, guards and servants and stuff, so I'm sure there's people who would alert that. I mean, Rhys even threatens, like, we'll catch word of it if you fucking talk to the sisters or do anything.
Yeah.
Like, don't take them anywhere. Don't be in their presence. If you want to ask about Elaine, you'll ask the servants.
Yeah, and then the servants will ask us.
Yeah.
Rhys tells Lucien that if he breaks any of these rules, he will lock him in a room with Amren.
I love that that's the thread. I know. He picked up very quickly that Lucien is scared shitless.
I would be afraid of Amren.
I mean,
let's
she's
be real.
Spooky as shit.
She is a spoopy bit.
Spoopy bit. He does ask Feyre too, like, am I a prisoner? Or, like, there's this back and forth with Rhys and Feyre in the brains or whatever. And she says you're free to explore, but it is, like, a shit ton of stairs to get down to the city. So if you want to go tomorrow, I'll take you. Yeah. And Lucien thanks them at the end. He says thank you as they're headed out. And then there's a freaking meeting.
There is.
With the inner circle.
There is indeed.
And this is a lot.
Loft.
Amren's loft. Yeah. I don't know why they chose there. She's got the books.
Because she's there.
She's crazy.
And she's losing her mind, it seems like.
She's poring over these books trying to find answers for a lot of stuff.
The way she, like, gets sassy with the books. She's
know.
Like, shut up, you.
Shut your mouth, you bitch. Because it's talking. She's like, it's become odious.
Yeah, ever since the two halves came together, it just won't shut up.
Yeah.
It's like, home, take me home.
Hi. It sees Feyre. It's like, ooh, you're back. Shut your mouth.
You.
But in this meeting, a lot of shit's talked about.
Yeah,
a lot.
This was a heavy one.
And I can do a very quick point by point to get it out. We learn a lot about the war plan.
Yeah.
Essentially. We learn that Miriam and Draken are gone. They went to go look for them to ask for help, and they're not on their island.
Mm-hmm. No trace of what happened to them.
Yep. And that they don't have enough forces to fight the Allies.
Is this also the first time we learned that Miriam actually died in the battle? Or
she was, maybe. I feel like she died and was, I don't know if they mentioned how she was.
It's mentioned now how she was brought to life, but I don't remember if it was ever talked about before.
I don't know if they went so far as to say that she was actually killed. Yeah, I know Amren at one point had said she was made.
That's true.
But I don't know if they went into any more detail than that.
Okay, I was just curious because I didn't remember it reading this section, and so when we found out that she actually died, I was like, what? What?
Gasp!
I knew she was made, but what?
Yeah, Miriam was killed.
She took a spear to the chest.
Yeah,
I'm like, dang.
Dracon knew some dudes. He knew a guy.
Well, he knew, hang on, I have it written. Knew of a hidden island where there was an object of great and terrible power concealed, which is the island that they were on. And he brought her there to bring her back to life.
What is this great and mysterious power?
That's what
I want to know. Is that not
the
cauldron?
That's what I want to know.
Is that where they hid it before?
I don't know. That's what I want to know. I would also like to know these things. But he brought her there and brought her back to life. You know.
Yep.
He's just toting a corpse around.
Yeah, no big deal. In a backpack.
With a spear in her chest?
Yeah.
I guess maybe they took the spear out.
Maybe, I hope so. Yeah. It'd be hard to lug a person with a spear. Even harder than just a corpse.
You shouldn't take puncture things out, though. Well, but I guess if she's already dead, it doesn't matter. I wonder how long it took them to get to this island. Was she stinky by the time
She might have been. Ugh. I don't know. Well, they got winnowing. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, that's one part of the many things they learn. They also talk about they don't have enough forces to fight the allies on the continent, and how they are essentially pitting them against each other. Like they're spreading rumors to the continent people.
Yeah, in hopes that they'll keep each other busy.
Yeah.
By fighting each other.
And yeah. And they talk about how there must be something wrong with the cauldron if it can't destroy the wall on its own.
Right. Because it should be able to.
Right. And because of that, like, they need to fix the wall before the cauldron can get there in hopes that it'll stop it.
Yeah. And Feyre's like, well, is there a spell for that? And Amren's like, I'm looking!
Yeah. We also hear they did a bunch of digging in Hybern, and all the Hybern people are all for the war. Like, they've been in such a silo that they just want to go back to the old days. Hybern, like, cut down every communication they ever could have had, so they couldn't, grow their minds and think bigger thoughts.
Yeah, and they couldn't even trade or really do anything.
Yeah.
So it is almost as if Hybern has been planning for this war forever.
Yeah,
and plotting towards it.
Yeah.
Crazy for the last 500 years.
Yeah, and that Amartha was the experiment, which we touched on before.
Yeah.
And Amren says something along the lines of, like, Prithian is to be made an example of. Like, Hybern plans to show what happens to Fae who uphold the treaty. And that is conquering them. And then Amren goes on to suggest that to fix the wall, Feyre might need the help of her sisters.
And Feyre's like,
Yeah, Feyre's very against, but then Amren says, you sound just like Tamlin.
I know.
That made my blood boil.
Same.
Amren? I
Same.
cannot believe you? And Mora's pissed. Mora's like, you? How fucking dare you? She goes, take it back. Apologize. And, like, hisses and is coming at Amren. And Feyre's like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Mor says, don't you ever say that sort of bullshit again.
Yeah. And Rhys sort of, like, lets Feyre figure out how she's going to deal with these two, because she now rules over them, too, you know what I mean? Like, they are answering to her.
Going back to the war a little bit, sorry, I just have one little short quote
That's
I want to read.
I ran through a bunch of shit, sorry.
Amren says at one point, the point is we are not facing an army hellbent on destruction. They are hellbent on what they believe is liberation.
Yeah. Because of the Hybern. No, that's good. That paints a picture of, like, Hyberns feel like they need to be liberated from the treaty because they were sequestered to their island and cut off trade routes and all this stuff. And that really paints, like, their motivation. Like, they're not going to stop until they feel liberated. And then, Feyre cuts off both Amren and Mor and is like, yeah, you're right. We got to do that. I'll ask my sisters, but I'm not going to force them to do anything.
Yeah.
And Rhys makes an offhand comment. He says something out of pocket. He's like, I don't know if Valaris is ready for Nesta Archeron. And Feyre snaps at him. She goes, my sister's not a wild animal or something along those lines. And they're both like, whoa. We haven't gotten snippy with each other before.
I know.
What's this about?
Are we going to have makeup sex later?
I'm sure you are. Mad or not. Yes. Yep. And then that chapter ends with Rhys saying how he's going to, like, call a meeting with all the High Lords.
Yeah.
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 And then we're headed into the last chapter of this section, y'all. Chapter 17.
And the end of this chapter.
I know.
I was like,
what else? Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
back
to the beginning.
Back to chapter 17. Sorry, did I touch your toes?
No, I touched the mic. You did touch my toes.
Yeah,
but,
well.
Oh my god. Calm
mess.
down.
Always messy in this podcast.
It is our brand.
Yep.
Anyways.
But then they're off to the House Wind to have dinner.
Yep.
And
with
chat.
the sisters,
With
right?
the sisters. Well, with Lucian.
The sisters are going to be there.
Just
or they're
Nesta.
supposed to be.
Yeah, they're
Elaine
invited.
Won't come out,
They're
obviously.
invited. But Cassian flies Feyre up because he says he needs to, like, condition his wings more because they've been healing. We never mentioned that.
Oh,
Cassian has his wings.
He has his wings.
They were shredded at the end of the last book.
They're all healed now, but he's basically doing fairy physical therapy.
Yeah. He's got to work his wings out. And Feyre's, like, up in her head about Rhys after having snapped at him. And But she does ask Cassian, like, do you think it's a good idea to involve Nesta in this? And prior to now, they had talked about Cassian having gone up to the House Wind often. Like, he goes every other day.
And he's
to work out his wings.
To train Nesta.
Yeah, and it's always, like, really bitter conversation. Like, she's never happy when he goes there. And he's like, I think it'd be good for her to get out of the fucking house and, like, do something productive. And she asks him why he even bothers. And he's like, I can't stay away.
Because I can't stay away.
I think before, too, when they had talked to Nesta, Faye was like, is nobody going to talk about the way that Cassian is with Nesta? Like, nobody's going to mention that? What's good? Like, what's going on here?
She also asks Cassian about, when when Nesta came out of the cauldron and the
darkness.
The darkness that Nesta had.
She came out different.
She asks if he's seen any glimpse of it.
Yeah.
Since then. And he's like, no, not really.
Nope.
But he can feel it sometimes, usually when she's pissed off at him.
Which is all the
time. Cassian also mentions that, he thinks that she's always mad because he broke his promise to her. Which...
Oh, yeah.
Makes me really sad because it was out of his control. And Feyre tells him as much. Yeah. She's like, there was nothing you could have done. You were literally dying.
Yeah. There was literally nothing to do. I know. He takes it on himself, though. And I'm like, oh, Cass. He's just a big old softy.
I know.
Yeah.
But anyways. Then they're at dinner.
Nesta joins. She walks in and she's just like drop dead fucking gorgeous. And has on this crazy ass dress. And Moore's like, whoa, girl, where'd you get that shit?
Yeah.
Hook me up.
I wrote in my notes that more fangirls over Nesta's dress.
And then Nesta is bold.
She is. I kind of love her.
I do too. But she asks Amryn, like, why do your eyes glow?
She's just like, bitch, why are you weird?
Yeah, what's up here? And Amryn's like, nobody's asked me that. And she's like, well, it, is the one lingering part of my true self that couldn't be contained in this Fae body. And then Nesta's like, what's inside? Like, what's beneath all this? And Nesta's like, Amryn's like, nobody's ever asked me that either, girl. Okay. And
Amryn also tells Nesta that, they're similar.
Yeah.
And she says, in what lurks beneath the skin. And then I have a quote I want to read.
I do too, and I wonder if it's the same.
I wonder.
Go for it.
I don't know what page it's on because I didn't write it down.
I didn't either.
Okay.
I could probably find it, though.
So Amryn tells Nesta, you did not fit the mold they shoved you into, the path you were born upon and forced to walk. You tried, and yet you could not fit. And then the path changed. I know what it is to be that way. And Nesta's only response to Amryn when she says that is, I don't know what you're talking about.
But then Amryn quips back with, when you erupt, girl, make sure it's felt across worlds. Which was the quote I pulled.
I did have that.
Hey.
It was right under there.
Yeah, which I feel like...
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Believe me.
But then there's all this, like, banter.
Listen to our future episodes if you want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll cover that eventually. But then the dinner carries on, and there's just a whole bunch of banter between the inner circle, and both Lucien and Nesta are like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, and Lucien has this weird moment where, like, the only chair left is at the head of the table, and he's like, shouldn't you sit here? And Rhys is like, I don't care.
Yeah, do what you want, bro. Just eat. I'm hungry. And they're all in, like, informal attire, but Lucien came, like, dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
Like, he's stunning.
Yeah. I just loved what that moment, like, showed about Rhys is that, like, he just doesn't, really doesn't care. He
doesn't care about
status.
He
doesn't have this, like, weird power trippy attitude like Tamlin has.
No.
Where I have to always be in control and everyone has to look at me like I'm almighty powerful.
Right.
No.
Yeah, that's not Rhys.
He doesn't care.
And Lucien is trained to behave that way around High Lord because High Lord word is law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. But anyway, the banter at the dinner sort of definitely paints a different picture. And Cassian and Feyre talk briefly about her training again, and he's like, I'll let you sleep until 7.
She's like, that is not sleeping in. He's like, it is for an Illyrian.
Yeah. But then they start talking about the meeting that's coming up with all the High Lords.
Which, I feel like Lucian was, like, taken by surprise by this. Was he not around for that conversation first?
No, they left him up at the House of Wind when they met about all this stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, Lucian is taken aback, and then he goes, can I offer some unsolicited advice?
Yeah.
And Rhys's like, nobody's ever asked me that before.
There's a whole lot of that in this chapter. No one's ever asked me that.
Rhys like, I mean, all right, go ahead. Or nobody's ever asked before giving it, I think is what Rhys says. Like, they just give it all willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But Lucian's like, excuse me.
Oh, excuse me, sir?
Do you mind if I
Can I
pipe in? Or,
no, I can shut up.
Shit, sorry.
I'll go jump off the balcony if you want me to.
I mean, High Lord, word
He
is
would.
law. And he asks if they're gonna, like, show Feyre's power at all in this. And Heeds encourages them to find out what Baron knows.
Yeah.
Because Eris saw some of her magic, and they need to figure out what Baron knows about it, because he will certainly come in gunning for war if he knows that Feyre has his power.
Yeah, he basically says that his father would stand with Hybern if he thought he had any chance of getting his powers back by killing Feyre.
Right.
Which is...
Yeah, I know.
Icky.
Yeah, it's a lot. And Rhys is like, all right, point taken. Well, you're going to work with Az to, like, figure this out. So he pairs them up.
There's also this question of, like, maybe Eris would keep that information for himself to use it later to his advantage somehow. Yeah. Which, man, that family.
I know.
I do not want to be a part of that.
No, thank you. And then Rhys
drops a bomb.
Leaves us at the end on a little cliffy.
Another cliffhanger, guys. Sorry.
Well, I'm not.
I'm not either.
We didn't actually do this one intentionally.
I lied. Rhys says there's another meeting that needs to be had. And soon.
Yeah. What's that about?
What is that about?
That's where we end for this section, y'all.
That was it.
Some weird cryptic sentence from good old Rhys.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
It was.
I felt like that was more than I expected.
Same.
Yeah.
I was a little worried before recording this that this that this episode was going to be like 45 minutes.
It's probably well over 2 hours at this point.
No, it was a lot. It was a lot of... It was kind of an info dump, I feel like, which is why I kind of struggled to get into it.
I'm also happy, though, that they got the, like, Tamlin part of the book out really quickly.
It's true, yeah.
We're only 17 chapters in. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
It's true.
So we didn't have to deal with his ass for very long, at least directly.
So far.
Yeah. That'll happen maybe later, probably. Well, yeah. And
maybe later, probably.
Well, and Lucian also asks if Tamlin's being invited, I think, at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's all the High Lords, then he probably is. And it's up to him if he wants to come or not, is essentially what Rhys says.
I would not show my face if I were him.
It's a recipe for disaster on all sides.
Yeah. And do you think that if he does show up, he's gonna... I don't know. Would he even want Feyre back at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, he would, because it's fucking Tamlin.
Right.
And he must have what he possesses.
Or he thinks that she's still under Rhys's spell or something.
Could
but,
be,
you saw that it's all very intentional, right?
And,
I don't know.
I would be afraid if I were Lucian, also, that Tamlin was going to show up.
Yeah.
Yikes, buddy.
He's on Tamlin's shit list for sure.
Yeah.
But in any case, y'all, we just keep talking about the chapters. That's where we end for this week.
Yeah.
Next week, y'all, on February 19th, we're carrying on into the world of Akawar. And we're going to be working through chapters 18 through
40.
18 through 40 on February 19th. So be sure to read them ahead of time. Please... subscribe.
Follow. Leave us a rating.
Yeah, a rating on a podcast platform would be swell.
Absolutely.
You can find us at Books and Crannies Podcast on YouTube and TikTok and Insta if you want to go see more content from us.
Yeah, and or if you want to let us know what you think of this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
In comment form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean... Leave us a review, too.
Yeah, help us out, y'all.
But come interact with us on TikTok.
Yeah,
that's where we are most active.
We are. And we are, in the future, doing a live version of this, sort of.
Yeah, we
are.
On
TikTok. We're going to be doing it's already happened when this episode comes out.
Yeah.
But if you want to tune in for future ones, we're going to be reading chapter for chapter and talking about them in real time. So you should definitely tune in. Follow us on TikTok to get the info about that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, y'all.
Thanks for coming. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching.
Yeah, and thanks for listening. I always say watching, but it's an audio.
This is an audio
platform. medium. Anyway.
Wow, the end of this is messy.
Happy reading, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.